Oh, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the August 12th, 2025 meeting of the Milton Conservation Commission. Milton Conservation Commission members are appointed by the Select Board to implement the rules and regulations of the State Wetlands Protection Act and the Milton Town bylaw governing the environmental concerns that the town has. As a matter of formality, two rules. One is we invite everybody, any member of the public, whether you're in a butter or not, to speak up, be heard, ask questions, make comments. But also we ask, because it is a public meeting, we're being recorded, we do ask that you identify yourselves. Which leads me to the second rule, which is we introduce ourselves. My name is John Kiernan, and let me just go across the top on the screen. Steve?
Steve Ibis, Conservation Agent.
Philip?
Philip Driscoll, Conservation Clerk.
Tom Palmer?
Tom Palmer, Commission Member.
Wendy Garpo?
Good evening. I'm Wendy Garpo, one of the commissioners.
Arthur Doyle?
Arthur Doyle, Commission Member.
Hans?
Hans Fandlingen, Commission Member.
Thank you. And Charlie?
Charlie Bosworth, Commission Member.
Okay, I don't see Ingrid here. I don't want to skip her if she's here, but I think we've introduced ourselves, so we're ready to go. First on the agenda is request for determination of applicability, the MBTA right-of-way. Who is here to present for the T and Keola?
Hello, everyone. This is Matt Donovan from Benish.
Matt, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course. Thank you. So I'm here to represent Keolis for this RDA to confirm the accuracy of the maps used for herbicide and application and vegetation management along the commuter rail right-of-way. This RDA is submitted to your commission every 5 years, required by CMR 11. And it's required to get these determinations before submitting the 5-year vegetation management plan to Mass Department of Agricultural Resources for approval. The vegetation management plan is designed to manage and control vegetation necessary to keep the railroad in operation safe, and there are regulations in place to keep these sensitive areas protected throughout the duration of the plan. The sensitive area restrictions are listed and described in CMR 11.04, and that's what the maps are marked in conformance with. The maps we've provided you are mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan, but often dictate where mechanical methods will be used due to chemical restrictions. Each year there are 2 main chemical applications, one in the May to June timeframe that targets the roadbed, and one in the August-September timeframe that targets the brush in the areas adjacent to the roadbed. The sensitive areas marked with blue and yellow in your town, which is the entirety of your town, will never receive the brush program, and will only receive the roadbed program, and that's because of the proximity to the riverfront. So that's what I'll focus on, is the roadbed application. That's done with a spray truck. It drives directly on the track and is equipped with nozzles on the backside, spraying the solution directly down onto the track from about 18 inches above the ground. It does have arms with nozzles on the arms that target the shoulders of the roadbed up to 12 feet from the center line of track on each side. Certified applicator is always accompanied by an environmental monitor, familiar with site conditions and equipped with these maps, instructing the operator as necessary. The applicator has the ability to turn all the nozzles off, or in many cases just one or both of the side nozzles where it's targeting the shoulder, where it may be getting closer to the buffer zones of the sensitive areas. They can just do that with the flip of a switch as needed as it's going down the track. The yellow zones will never receive any treatment to the shoulders. However, it may still receive treatment directly down onto the ties, and that's done at the environmental monitor and applicator's discretion to keep it in conformance with the restrictions. The blue zones will receive the full roadbed treatment. And there are no dark blue zones, which is more of like a DEP or water supply zone, which would be sprayed every 2 years. Due to the chemical restrictions in these areas, more effort is put into controlling the vegetation, especially in the areas adjacent to the roadbed. More effort is put into controlling that with mechanical or manual measures. The chemicals each year are always taken from the right-of-way approved sensitive area material list provided by Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. They do switch the solution slightly each year, but the chemicals will always be coming from that approved list. We do include each year's solution in the yearly operational plan that we supply your commission every year via certified mail. We are seeking a positive 2A determination to confirm the maps, as well as a negative determination for the work that's included in the vegetation management plan. And with that said, I can open the floor up to the commission for any questions.
Sure, and I know you're going to get a question from Tom Palmer, and he'll be more articulate than I. But first, let me kind of put in context some of our questions. My first one is that in your letter, which I appreciate very much, dated 18 July 2025, you say, on behalf of the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority and Keolis, can you tell me who's doing this? Is it the T and or is it Keolis?
It's the T that's maintaining and operating the commuter rail for MBTA, contracted to them. MBTA is still the property owner, but it is under maintenance and operations by Keolis. This is just for the commuter rail, and not for the T.
Okay. Second point, and this is not a question, it's a point just to put in context and really for the public's benefit. Approximately 2012, which I understand is 13 years ago, we had some difficulty, not on the Keolis commuter line, but rather on the trolley line between Mattapan and Ashmont, where we, I guess, euphemistically referred to it as napalm that was used in the area of the Adams Street Bridge. It destroyed everything, every blade of grass, every bug, every dandelion. I don't know what it was, but it created a real problem. And the contractor was Northern Tree, and they were taking out trees for purportedly for field of vision. We support 100% the right-of-way of the railroad and public safety. That's very high priority for us. We understand that. But in this case, they kind of got carried away. So we entered into a consent agreement with MBTA for, it was $15,000 in dollars and cents, and they were going to provide, 40 hours of labor for, replanting some trees for us. And we never received it. And I understand the environmental coordinator for the MBTA was a real gentleman. And he just said, John, we're in a deficit, financing situation. Sorry, we can't do it. And that's been 13 years. So we try to be very careful about this, which leads to my third point. And that is when we walked, and again, this is the Ashmont line, I'm sorry, the trolley line from Mattapan to Ashmont. Tom Palmer and I were out there together, and we were looking at, spray versus mechanical means for that particular line. And they were very cooperative with us, the T folks, and they said, listen, we agree not to spray in this area because it was just north of Central Avenue, where Central Avenue crosses the trolley line. And Tom, y'all remember this. We walked that way and said it would be better. There is so much there for wetlands that it would be better. We don't want to fight over where the line is because it's going to be real close. And the T said, oh, fine, we won't spray here. We'll use, mechanical means if we need to. So that's, and Tom can weigh in on that one. The fourth point is, Steve, have you walked this, or I just want to make sure that we agree with the wetland lines here. And I defer to you, you're an expert and I'm not, but I want to make sure that the wetlands are where they say they are, because that was the problem that Tom Palmer and I confronted when we were walking in the Central Avenue line right there. So I think we need to confirm this line. So that, those aren't exactly questions, but Tom, let me ask you.
As I'm looking at my screen, I see a portion of the rail line which has a cleared area, which is a former paper mill, and the Towson Hollingsworth Dam up on top. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I see.
Yeah, it does appear to show the only wetlands are in the river, maybe, but if you look on the Milton bank, which is the south bank, between the railroad and the river, as you go to the left or the southwest, there are actually some wetlands up on top of the bank. And I think I see a little green line in there that might indicate them, but it's not really big enough on my screen to see if I can see it or not. Well, there they are, I guess. Yeah, those are depressions that fill with water, and where they're connected under the embankment, there's a culvert. And speaking for myself, I would rather they did it all mechanically all the way through here, because it's all quite close to the river. But I would like to ask, what is the herbicide that currently is being used?
The herbicide, I can show you exactly what was being used. Last year, we send it to your commission every year, and that's done with in the yearly operational plan. So this is the mixture right here. It's Esplanade 200 SC mixed with Milestone or Open Site at these application rates, mixed with Oust XP or Oust Extra or Spider. At 4 ounces per acre with a drift control.
If you're familiar with that stretch of track, it's got a lot of what they call clinker on either side, right? That crushed stone, and it's also elevated over much of it. So it has a sort of built-in weed suppression of a sort, in that it's an elevated, very dry material that doesn't support vegetation easily. At any rate, as I said, I see you go at it two ways, either mechanical or chemical. My preference would be mechanical because it's close to the river and the wetlands through here.
Yeah, so that option, and like you had brought up earlier, and I do understand all the concerns with this. It is a sensitive subject, for good reason. But I think when you spoke with the MBTA back in 2012 and you were talking about that, I would have to think that that was regarding the areas adjacent to the roadbed. As there for the roadbed itself, there is no alternative. You can't really control any of the weeds in the ballast with mechanical methods. The only way to do that is with this roadbed program. And like I said, it's done with a truck. I can pull up a picture of it. That sprays a solution directly down onto the track from that distance, about 18 inches above the ground. And it gets absorbed real quickly. There are studies done by the DEP and DAR before they release these lists with the rates and everything, to make sure that it is not spreading into areas that it shouldn't be. So in your town, you will only be receiving this treatment at the very most, and in the yellow zones, they'll turn these outside nozzles off, where it's targeting the shoulders. So it'll just be doing the ties.
So help me understand the difference between the shoulder and the ties, because I think the ballast extends laterally out beyond the rail lines.
Yes. So the ties themselves are just the wooden timbers that are actually a part of the structure of the track, and the ballast is part of the structure as well. But the shoulders is like, the ballast will continue flat outside the edge of the tie, and then a typical roadbed, it goes down at a 1-to-1 slope from the tie, and like you said, it's built up. So you have a flat area, and on each side the shoulders, as you can imagine, on the sides.
I appreciate the distinction. I also appreciate what you said, that for the ballast, there's really no mechanical method to do anything on the
Right.
ballast. So are we talking about the shoulder, and Tom, are you talking about the shoulder?
I guess what I interpreted our guest to say is that between the rails, there's no alternative to chemical. but maybe he's saying, no, that I'm speaking about the ballast in total when I say that. I guess I don't understand whether the area where the chemical is unavoidable is the area between the rails or the width of the ballast.
I'm sorry. What's the question?
Well, I guess you said that there's an area where you can't use mechanical because it's too close to the rails or between the rails. I guess I'm asking, what is that width there? Yeah.
That would be like the full roadbed. So like the 12 foot, the 12 foot as you go down from the center line of track, that 12 feet from the center line. It's
Okay.
typically always ballasted. And that's where there's really no alternative, is when it's a ballasted section like this. As you can see, this isn't even a very wide roadbed at all. It's not elevated. When in Milton, the roadbed is way more elevated, so the ballast will be going down and extending out quite a bit further than what you see here. So it really
Yeah,
won't be getting to the extent of the ballast in Milton, where in this case it is getting to the extent of the tree lines, because it is closer to the elevation of the areas adjacent to it. Where there is an alternative is where my mouse is kind of hovering over right now, is the areas adjacent to the track.
Now, we may be on the wrong screen share, Matt.
Yeah, we're looking at the chart still of the herbicides.
Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. Now, can you see the picture?
Yes.
Now we see a
Yeah.
picture, but that's a spray truck.
Yes.
Okay.
With a typical roadbed section. But what I was just describing is, if you can picture this, but with the ballast, a tall area, as you said, in Milton, is built up. So naturally it's wider as it goes down at a 1-to-1 slope. So the ballast in Milton would extend further out than this. And as you can see here, the spray is pretty much just getting to the edge of the ballast, where in Milton, if it's an elevated track, it will still be ballasted beyond where the spray is. So it really will only be getting ballasted portions of the track, and that's where there's no alternative to vegetation control.
As we look at it now, would you say the reason there are no weeds in the ballast is because it has been treated at intervals, regular intervals?
Yeah, if I've been out on railroads pretty much the last 12 years of my life, and you'd be surprised with how quickly weeds will start to grow through that ballast. That it had just from leaves falling from above, just things falling off the train. It does get organic matter in there, and will start to grow ballast. I mean, maybe you can go a year skipping it, but it does grow weeds pretty quick, and then that can cause pretty bad problems for the structure of the track itself, and for inspecting the track, and just a lot of different reasons. It's the most imperative part of the right of way to keep clear of weeds is this roadbed
Yes,
structure.
I have walked a lot of track myself. I walked the track through the foul meadow, and there's definitely a sort of look that appears on the edge of the fill beyond the ballast, where there's only certain plants that can stand it, so to speak. There's certain very tough weeds that will flourish in the kind of clinkery soil. So you can kind of see the effects of the herbicide as you walk up and down. I understand your argument, and I recognize the importance of keeping the tracks clear. So I feel like myself, I have to support the greater good of track maintenance. I guess that's my point of view.
All right, thanks, Tom. Wendy, any thoughts on the proposed vegetation management plan?
No, thank you, John. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, any other commissioners?
Nothing here.
All right, I don't see everybody, but I don't hear anything. One question, Tom, go back to when Matt was able to blow up the area that you had indicated it was to the left side of the overhead view that we saw. Though that looked like, as he blew it up, it looked like the area that you were concerned with, that there were wetlands there. My only question is, do we need to confirm that, or are you comfortable, because you're familiar with the area, are you comfortable that they've properly designated those areas that were blown up that do show the wetland areas or the depressions where their water?
Yeah, I would say overall they're accurate. I would guess that those green lines were drawn from an aerial photo by a mapper in an office. And I would guess as well that if you were to do it on the ground, they would be more complex than what you see here now. But I'm okay with this depiction for this project. I think if somebody were to propose development in there, I would want them to be mapped again. But I think this is sufficient for what we're talking about.
John,
Hey,
if
can
I
I
may,
just add something to
Mr. Chairman,
that?
Yes, Matt.
I just,
Um,
I'm sorry.
There are several towns that will accompany a positive 2A determination with exactly that being said, that this determination is only good for the purpose of vegetation management in conformance with the MDAR approved vegetation management plan or something like that. So, I mean, because these determinations are binding, it's a way to cover yourself from that.
Yeah, that's a good idea because we do expect to have a notice of intent for that area at the top, sort of to the middle, but the top there, that's all clear there. That's the old Patriot paper factory.
Yeah, so that would be a good, I can send you language for that other towns have used after this meeting if you want to make the determination based on or with that being said.
Good idea, Matt. Thank you for doing that. Steve, I can't see you, but do you have any thoughts or suggestions?
Not at this time, no, John.
All right. Anybody else?
I
can't
agree
see
with
everybody.
Tom's,
Go ahead.
Tom's notes.
All right.
John?
Any other commissioners that have a question or comment?
Just a comment, John, Arthur here. I would agree with those areas that are identified as two wetland pockets. They're consistent with what was seen on NEPRA maps from presentations that were given on the project for the EPA cleanup of the river.
Good. Okay. That's helpful. Any other, I can't see everybody that's here. Are the members of the public, whether you're in a butter or not, that have a question or want to make a comment? All right. They're not seeing it. Could you take the screen sharing down? Because then I can see everybody. We can all see everybody.
Yep.
That's good. I don't see any hands raised. So the request here is to issue a, I want to read it from here. Positive 2A and a negative number 5. I'm not sure what negative number 5 determination refers to, but the positive 2A. I guess that's the wetlands delineation. We'd be accepting that. And as Matt suggested, we can use additional language, and Phil, if you make sure this language gets added into the to the notes.
Absolutely.
That this approval of the delineation is for the vegetation management program only. So it wouldn't be binding on us if there was a development proposal. We could go out and remeasure it. But that would be positive that we'd accept the delineation and then issue a negative determination. We do have another condition that we always put in. We call it boilerplate, but it's actually pretty important. That equipment that we saw a picture of, that you don't park that within our jurisdiction. For instance, you wouldn't park it right next to the river overnight, or you wouldn't refuel there. But that I don't anticipate that's a problem at all for you, correct?
No, they won't be. They show up in the morning and leave right when they're done. They won't be parking.
Perfect, all right. It's the overnight component that we're concerned with. All right, so any other comments, questions, commissioners? All right, is there a motion to issue a positive determination under 2A for the approval of the delineation for purposes of vegetation management only? And then otherwise to issue a negative determination so as to allow them to go forward with a single special condition that they not store overnight the heavy equipment with hydraulic hoses and chemicals and whatnot, and or they don't refuel that equipment within our jurisdiction. Is there such a motion?
John, really quick, it's not a delineation, right? It's an identification of resource areas. That
It is, but we're using their map. So you're right, it's not done by flag.
okay.
But I think that's one of the reasons with Matt's suggestion that we limit the approval to the vegetation management plan only, but we're approving that delineation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second to Hans's motion?
Second.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a voice vote. Tom Palmer,
I vote yes.
Hans,
Yes.
Arthur Doyle,
Yes,
Charlie,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes,
and I, John Gannon, vote yes as well. You go, but will you send that language so we'll have that in our file as well?
Yes, I can
From
send
the
that.
other towns I'm referring to, yes.
Yep.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you very much, everyone.
All
Have
right,
a good
thanks,
night.
Matt. Next on the agenda is number 2, which is notice of intent parking lot repair and stormwater management project at Houghton's Pond. Do we have a presenter?
Hi, yes, my name is Heidi Fisher. I'm here on behalf of AECOM, representing Massachusetts DCR. Here as well on the call is Mr. Thomas Fulton. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, and welcome, Heidi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. With your permission, I have a slide deck I'd like to share my screen.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, can everyone see that okay?
yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Hi, thank you so much for your time this evening. So just to reiterate, here representing the Massachusetts DCR project for the Houghton's Pond Stormwater Management Improvements Project. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So just to give an overview of the project area, the limit for the project for the improvements to stormwater management features at Houghton's Pond is going to be limited to the parking lot located to the north of Houghton's Pond, as well as to the bathhouse that is located in proximity to Houghton's Pond. And the areas in red actually that are represented in the picture are over a little bit of an overestimate of actually how much we will be impacting for this area. The parking lot will actually be limited to the northeastern portion of the lot. And the bathhouse, primarily the work will be located just south of the bathhouse between the beach and the bathhouse itself. And the total limit of the work that will be done is about 2.2 acres. Go to the next slide. So in November of 2024, AECOM went out to do wetland delineation. You can see from the map there that's on the right-hand side. And as you can see, during the delineation, they were able to identify bordering vegetated wetlands to the east and northeast of the parking lot, as well as to the west of the bathhouse, and then as well as in association with Houghton's Pond identified bank. As well as an intermittent water course, in which a bank was also delineated there as well. As you can see from the figure, the limit of disturbance will interact with the buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland within the parking lot. And to the bathhouse to the south, the buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland will also coincide with some of the limit of disturbance, as well as that buffer zone to the bank. The bank to the intermittent water course there will be no project activities located within that buffer zone. So just kind of wanted to clarify that from the figure. So for the project activities that's going to take place in the parking lot, there's going to be an installation of a infiltration gallery, and that'll be below grade. In addition to that, there will be the installation of a new flow control structure, which will then connect into the existing catch basin and outfall. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse here, but to the south of the parking lot, well, for the purposes of this figure, to the south is the outfall is located to the bottom of the screen, and you can see that there's protection over the riprap around the outfall. There will be no work that will take place there. It'll be all sort of upland of that, closer to the parking lot itself. As I mentioned before, this is all going to be installed below grade, and any pavers in the parking lot that are removed for the purposes of the installation will be stored and then replaced in kind. So this will all be restoration to previously existing conditions following the installation of the new features. Just kind of give a visualization of what the area looks like. The picture on the left is a view of the location in the parking lot in which the infiltration gallery will be installed below grade. And then the picture on the right is a depiction of where that new pipe will be placed within that kind of grassy vegetated area. And again, that'll be below grade as well. Okay, and this is a depiction of the work that's proposed at the bathhouse itself. Hopefully it's able to kind of make out, I know there's a lot of detail here, but to the left and to the right, you'll see that there's going to be the installation of infiltration galleries here as well, as well as trench drains that'll provide the collection of runoff from impervious surfaces associated with the bathhouse, which will then collect and filtrate and treat that stormwater runoff before releasing it to vegetated areas away from the bathhouse and away from Houghton's Pond and the recreational beach. I'll just see if there's anything else I want to include there. The only permanent impacts associated with this, everything will be below grade with the exception of a new outfall that will be protected by riprap, and that will be on one of the infiltration galleries, and the other infiltration gallery will will release to an already existing outfall that's already on site. And this is the depiction as well, so for some detail on the western side of the bathhouse. Those are the pictures on the top of the screen, and that sort of shows the bounds of where the infiltration gallery will be below grade as well. As you can see from this, it's mostly gravel, grassy areas, and there is some pavers. This will all be restoration of grassy areas and gravel following the installation in the infiltration gallery. And similar to the parking lot, any pavers that are removed will be replaced in kind. And then on the east side of the bathhouse, similarly, this is all going to be within previously disturbed but grassy and gravel areas. So those will all be restored to previous conditions. As for any of the trees that are in the area, those will all be protected during construction. There will be no tree removal of any kind, so there'll be protection around the trees during any of the work.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm not
please.
cutting you off. I was just waiting to see if you had more, because thank you for the presentation, and your written materials are very detailed and very thorough. So we thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
My only question is, we actually did a site walk in July, and we actually parked in the parking lot. That's a pretty busy place. And I'm assuming that over the course of time, there's a lot of oil and contaminants dropped from the cars that parked there. And I understand that you're improving the drainage and the discharge of water. But is there any kind of an oil separator or any kind of mechanism? I know the water is being directed underground to the basins, whether they're Cultex or whatever the the vendor is that you get it from. But is there any way to capture some of the oil that we can anticipate coming from the parking lot?
There will be a wear system in the diverter structure that will have a hood on it to capture. It's not going to be a typical oil water separator, but it will have a hood and it will capture all any type of oily debris. And we don't expect it to be any more than a regular sumps in the catch basins and the hoods that are in catch basins themselves. So but there will be a structure for sediments and floating debris, which includes oils. So.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. I would like to add that Heidi did a great job, but I noticed on the plan the limit of works for the parking lot. DCI does plan on milling and overlaying the whole parking lot when we're done, so we don't have this big patch in the middle. And so I just wanted to make that clear to the commission that after we put the underground infiltration galley in, the plan would be to mill and overlay the whole parking lot, so it's just one continuous, a new parking lot. It's kind of beat up. If you saw some of the slides, it's pretty cracked up. So we plan on paving the whole thing.
We did. What about that? And now I've got to go back and look at the plans again, but do you have erosion controls in place? If you're going to mill the whole parking lot,
We have to
milling
adjust. We will definitely adjust. We can certainly close the hearing tonight and send you a revised adjustment for the mill and overlay. But yeah, the parking lot is kind of walled in, but we will do the erosion controls needed to make sure that happens. Absolutely. Protect against that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions from commission members?
I have one in the stormwater plan, and it did seem like the subsurface conditions were more or less ideal for infiltration because there was sand that went down 15 feet. Now, further down in those borings, you indicated groundwater level, and in one of the borings, you hit a clay layer. In the other boring, you found models, which you interpreted as a high groundwater. I wanted to ask you, when the borings were done, was anybody trying to find what the original surface was there, and did they identify it in the borings? Do you know the answer to that?
I do not. Have the answer to that. I know we had our soils analysis engineer on site when we did the borings, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry, I forgot your first name.
Could you thank you. Could you describe for an ignoramus like me, if somebody dropped off an infiltration gallery in front of my house, what would it look like? What does it look like? How does it work?
Plans so I can kind of walk through it. I want to make sure that I'm describing what we put on the detail.
Yes, one moment, please.
It looked like to me.
That's why I don't want to start describing something that we didn't spec. So I want to make sure that I'm describing the proper detail. But typically, I'll start, and then if you pull it, typically it would be a dome, like a quarter of a pipe that's laid on about a foot of stone that maybe lined up maybe two or three segments. Could you go back to the one plan that showed the parking lot and the infiltration area itself, or even the Holton's Pond bathhouse view? Either one will work.
There's a picture of them on sheet 505 of the detail.
Thank you. So stormwater is going to enter through the trench grates, conveyed down a pipe to a manhole, distribution manhole that then sends it into the three galleys. I think they're three different sleeves, and there'll be these half moon galleys that are placed on a foot of stone that disperse the stormwater evenly and infiltrate into the ground.
So they're like corrugated plastic pipes that are arch shaped. And it's the area inside those pipes that provides the storage for the water that comes in from the drains.
You go to the detail sheet, could you keep going through the plan set, Heidi?
Yes.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All right, right there. There you go. So see that top right? Can you zoom in a little bit to the top right, Heidi? That essentially is what's going to be underground. 45 inches tall by 77 inches wide. Is that inches? Yep. And they provide the storage that they're set on like a bed of stone, and that this is what provides the storage for the stormwater.
The
And this
void
size-
under the
size-
arches.
Say it again.
The storage is the voids or the space under the arches. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. And they're sized appropriate to the collection area. And the soil analysis of what perks.
Well, I just say that this is going to benefit the wetlands because you won't have that big torrent of water coming in all at once, and going to benefit Houghton's Pond as well because Houghton's needs help, right? Wasn't Houghton's closed for swimming all of last summer? Do you know if that's a fact?
That was not a fact, but it was closed a lot. And that's one of the main reasons why this place was targeted through our lakes and ponds in the stormwater group. Before, to help with water quality at Houghton's Pond. 100%. In conjunction with operations who has been battling erosion issues on the beach during rain events from the impervious deck around Houghton's Pond bathhouse. There's a big promenade deck, like a concrete promenade that captures a lot of stormwater when it rains, and it runs right down the stairs and then right into the pond. So that's what these trench grates are going to mitigate. They're going to intercept that, send it into the infiltration galleys. So if the water either gets infiltrated and never makes it to Houghton Pond, or if there's a significant enough rain, then it will infiltrate what it can and then discharge through an overflow outfall that Heidi kind of alluded to earlier.
Wouldn't it
That's
also
really a
be
benefit.
wouldn't it be appropriate to do a job like this at the so-called yard, the construction yard? Because if you go to that yard and you look across Hillside Street, you see that the water drains out through there, and there's a huge thicket of Phragmites, which is indicative of sedimentation and stormwater problems. So can we get another project like this at the construction yard?
We would love to do this everywhere. You're absolutely right, but we have to pick our projects. And this being in such close proximity to Houghton's Pond, we found this to be more benefit, especially with the partnership of lakes and ponds. This is really going to be a major benefit to the water quality within Houghton's Pond itself. So, but yes,
all right,
I agree. I mean, we would love to do these projects everywhere if we could.
Yes, and I thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners with questions or comments? I don't
Yeah.
hear anybody.
John,
yeah.
I'm sorry, this is Hans. I do have one question. You mentioned that the milling is a kind of add-on. Just to confirm, has the current delineation assumed that full limit of work, or was the delineation more based on just the drainage improvements?
I don't know the answer to that. The delineate in what sense, Hans?
Just making sure that I mean, it looks like a pretty full delineation, but just making sure that the limit of work for the drainage improvements, which only includes one side of the parking lot, that there's no other, you've confirmed there's no other wetland areas.
Yes, that I can confirm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, which would be closer, Hans, would be on the north side of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Or towards the state police.
Yeah, it looks like it went all the way up, so.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
pretty close, but
captured that.
that's why the erosion controls are gonna be important.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. We would definitely make sure that we would revise the erosion control plan and revise that limit of work that shows the limit around the, you know, the excavation area, so to speak. Absolutely.
Perfect. And then I know there's there are some, I would call them ditches along the roadway that runs through. Are there any
Other side of the road.
controls?
Of Hillside Road and Hillside Ave,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Would
We
you need
wouldn't be
any
messing, we wouldn't be
protections through
messing with
there?
any
or-
of that.
Yeah,
Because that would be up gradient and on the other side of the road.
you're right. It is upgraded. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
All right, I can't, could you take the screen sharing down so I can see the folks, make sure that nobody has their hand up? No, any other questions from commission members, members of the public, citizens? No one? All right, so this is a notice of intent. We've got, expect, we can do a conditional vote, conditional upon the revised erosion control on the plans. And we've addressed the issue of no storage of or refueling of heavy equipment, hydraulic equipment overnight within our jurisdiction. But I think the state's got plenty of places to park their equipment in that area that would comply with that. Any other special conditions from commission members? Hearing no other special conditions, is a motion to approve the notice of intent by issuing a order of conditions with that, the erosion controls and the no refueling or storage overnight. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thanks, Charlie. Any discussion among commission members? Hearing none, seeing no hands raised, we'll go to a voice vote. Tom Palmer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Arthur Doyle?
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
And I, John Kiernan, yes as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation, Heidi and Tom. And when you get those
Commission
those
members.
revised plans into us, Tom, you can send those to Philip Driscoll. We'd be thrilled.
Absolutely. ASAP this week, if we can.
Perfect. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Next on the agenda is number 3, request for certificate of compliance at 1421 Canton Avenue. I have a question, Philip. I know that in the last couple of years that DEP has asked us not to issue or request a notice of intent for our enforcement orders. But I think in this day and age, when this one happened, I distinctly remember this event. This is the one that the town engineer actually had a videotape of the folks dumping wheelbarrows into the brook. So I remember it well, and I think we issued an order of conditions to fix it, which apparently they did. But do you have the order of conditions in that same file? It would be under the address of 1421.
Yeah, I said it's in the, it's not in the packet. I thought I put it in the packet as well.
Right, I might have missed it. I've got the request for a certificate of compliance. In fact, I got like 6 copies maybe of that. And I didn't know if I was missing something. They appear to be, I've got 5 copies. And I wasn't sure if I was missing something that they all appear to be the same. But it says the request is in reference to work regulated by a final order of conditions, which comports with my memory. But I didn't see what we had ordered on the order of conditions. I'm sure it was, take the stuff out of the brook.
Right.
But I don't know if we asked for anything else. And I also don't know if we have some kind of an attestation that it's been done. Steve, have you gone to the site to take a look at it?
Yes, I sure did. And
Okay.
it's out of the brook.
Good.
Yep.
All right. You
I'm
see
not
anything,
sure about
Philip?
anyone else, but I didn't receive, I got the order of conditions, but I don't think I received the certificate of compliance request.
Well, I've got 5 of them, so I'll trade you.
Maybe you got them all.
Yeah, I
What?
think you have mine also, John.
Okay, okay. What does the order of conditions say, Hans?
Um, so there are 3 non-boilerplate special conditions. Attempts shall be made to control invasive species. The site a couple of times a year for each species, Asian bittersweet, Japanese knotweed, wetland scientist, or an invasive species specialist. Next 2 years, 2019 and 2020. Short report or email noting the work is completed. Debris dumped in the stream shall be removed. Debris includes non-stone items, e.g. concrete and brush. Short report or email shall be provided to the commission that the work was completed. The stones in the stream shall be adjusted by a wetland specialist with consultation with the town and mission conservation agent to provide added stability to the bank, as well as possible riffle for wildlife habitat as appropriate. So there should be, if there isn't an attestation, there should at least be some sort of letter from a wetland scientist or environmental professional, sort of speaking to the work as it was completed.
All right, who do we have? I'm sorry, who was present? I know there's a new owner that I think the original was Dina Martin, and I think she's left, and I think there's a new owner on site. Steve, I'm embarrassed. I can't recall his name. Do you know it?
Michael something or other, Michael M. something. I'm sorry.
My
I
name
don't
is
remember it
Michael
right now.
Rossio.
Good, Mike.
Michael Rossio, and I'm from the Suffolk company, and one of my companies took title to the property the end of last year through a foreclosure sale. And apparently this enforcement order was issued 2 owners ago. And we discovered the recorded document from about 6 years ago in the title.
Okay, is there any way that you can get us some kind of, if you've got, especially if you've got some companies, it might be easy for you. We're trying to eliminate obstacles, not create them, but can you get, we require for a certificate of compliance, a certification that the work done was done in substantial compliance with the order of conditions. That's our rule and regulation. Is that something you could get done? I don't think it's a big deal because Steve's been there and he said the stuff is out of the brook. Hans points out that I know there was some, I guess, support for the bank with the assistance of a wetland scientist. I'm not sure. I don't have a specific memory of what that entailed. Steve, do you?
Yes, I think it was Brad Holmes that actually worked on it.
It was.
So Mike, if you
It was
want to
Brad?
email me, I'd be happy to get you Brad Holmes's contact information.
Well, I'll be glad to assist however I can, but my company, we've done nothing.
I know
Okay, and
Right.
except take some pictures and forward them to Steve Ives. Okay, and
Yeah.
we compared the pictures that were taken 6 years ago of about a dozen softball style sized rocks that were dumped in the brook, and they're no longer there. But I don't know who removed them and when that was done. And I, we don't know who the work who did the work, what was the extent of the work. We were not involved at all. We're just looking to clear up the title.
No, we know that, and we won't create obstacles for you, but our rules and regulations require that there be some attestation from a professional engineer or a wetland scientist. And if Brad Holmes worked on this, and I have a vague memory that it was Brad, but we've got 2 commissioners that say, yep, it was Brad. He's accessible, he's easy, and if he were to write a letter saying they were removed, the stones and debris that was dumped in the brook.
Yeah,
It was
this
kind of a
shouldn't require
memorable
anything like a
case for us.
survey or anything like that.
What's
It shouldn't require a survey or
No.
anything like that. No engineering plans, just a letter.
Well, I don't know Brad Holmes. I am willing to call him, okay, if I'm given his contact information, okay? You
Hey,
have,
Mike, you froze for a minute, so we lost part of your sentence.
sorry, I'm calling from the Caribbean, so it's,
Okay.
if you give me the contact information for this fellow, I will give him a call. Um, what you do have is my letter with the pictures, and you have Steve Ives' report that whatever was there before is no longer there. Okay, and I am a licensed engineer as well, but but if you give me the name of the fellow, I'll give him a call. I don't know who he is, and I can't say that he was involved in doing any work because I don't even know what the work was. Okay, and my company is a recent owner, and this was 2 owners ago.
I got you, Mike. I know you're blameless. We're just trying to be uniform in our application of the regs. And we'll try to find the path of least resistance.
Thank you very much.
Steve, do you have Mike's email?
I believe so, but Mike, why don't you give me an email?
Steve, I will resend an email to you so you have my email.
Yep,
Right
you have
after
it.
this meeting.
You have mine.
I had to have yours, yes.
Okay.
Can
That's
I
good.
just remark that, yeah, in my package, I got the order of conditions, but it was a form only. There was no plan. So I'm sort of completely in the dark. If you were to ask me, does anything conform to an order where I don't know of any plan? I don't know of any plan, so I don't know what the order was. So how could I say it complies or not?
Well, I can say also that this is the first I've heard about an order of conditions. There's no order of conditions recorded. And they typically are required to be recorded. And this is the first I'm learning of it.
I think I'm only laughing not at what you say, but I think the 2 homeowners ago was engaged with some grand jury activity at the time, so she probably forgot to record it because we usually have the applicant record. So my
No,
it's
I'm familiar with
irony
that.
I'm
I'm
making
familiar
this
with that
up.
from other conservation commissions, yes,
Yeah.
but it wasn't done.
Okay, right. Okay. All right. I think we're gonna help you make this right. If you just get that, Brad's a pretty good guy, and I think we can take care of this in short order. And Phil, if you can resend again for all individual files, because I just recounted them. I think I've got 7 requests for a certificate of compliance, but no order of conditions. So if you could send everybody, one of each, then we'd each add, and make sure that if Tom got a blank one, it sounds like Hans did not. So maybe if you could just resend all of that, and then we'll be
Sure, I'll say that tomorrow.
perfect. All right, then we'll be in a position to get this done quickly. Mike, thanks for your patience, and we'll work with you on this.
Thank you very much for your help. Good night.
Okay. All right. Good night.
Good.
All right. Next on the agenda is notice of intent, 11 Parkway Crescent.
John, really quick on that one. That's one of my neighbors. I received the butter notification, so I may have to recuse myself.
Oh, good.
Just to let you, unless you don't think I do.
No, I don't think you've got any financial interest in it.
Nope,
I can't imagine it would go. If it did anything, it would probably increase your home value.
Which technically is an interest, but yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. Full disclosure.
Yeah, I've got a cousin that's one of your neighbors, Megan. So I'll public disclosure as well on that one. But she's not on the abutters list. So Megan, tell us what you're looking for.
So good evening. My name is Nick Courtney with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm going to be representing Megan and Francis Sanzari. This application. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Oh, it's perfect. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Everyone see that? Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. Um, so Megan and Francis are looking to do an addition to their existing home. And I'll just start by running through the existing conditions for the site. So this property is a residential developed property with about 0.15 acres of lot area. So it's a relatively small lot. There's residences abutting the site to the west, north, and east of the property. And Pine Tree Brook is located here to the south. Wetlands were delineated by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration in July of 2025. And as a result of his delineation, there's inland bank located here associated with Pine Tree Brook and a 200-foot riverfront area off of that inland brook. So right here is the 100-foot riverfront area, and the 200-foot would extend further out. There's a flood zone abutting the site right here, but no proposed work is going to be within that area. Now, to run through the proposed conditions, the applicant is looking to do a 15.5 foot by 21.1 foot addition, totaling 328 square feet of proposed addition space right here. For erosion control measures, we are proposing a 12-inch diameter silt sock to limit any erosion or sedimentation from the project. That silt sock is located to limit of work and is this red dashed line here. We are also proposing silt sack as necessary in any of the catch basins abutting the site and Parkway Crescent to limit any sedimentation from going into the closed drainage system in the street.
Nick, apropos of that, could you curve that silt sock along the street line?
Yes, we could do that.
All right, that would help us because we want to keep it out clearly out of the catch basin, but also away from the street as well.
Definitely. As part of this project is in riverfront area. When we were doing the notice of intent filing, we were following the redevelopment section of the riverfront because the site is obviously developed with this existing dwelling, and you got a garage and degraded lawn area on site. We evaluated riverfront area interests in regards to the Massachusetts wetland regulations and found that none of the interests such as flood control or storm damage prevention should be affected by this project. In addition, we are doing a small stormwater treatment system for new roof runoff to provide treatment for 1 inch of that roof runoff. It's going to be a Coltech chamber located right here with a roof drain tied into the Coltech chamber. And we had went through the Massachusetts stormwater standards, standards 1 through 10 to the extent practicable for this project. So I'm going to conclude presentation at this time and open up the floor to any questions. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I already made my one comment because when I looked at your plan, I just wanted to make sure that silt sock, curved around and protected the street as well as the catch basin.
Yep. We can definitely do that.
Commission members?
No
Mr.
comment
Chairman,
here,
this
John.
is This is Steve.
I have, go ahead.
DEP is still waiting for plans and a fee, by the way, on this project. It's on the DEP Notice of Intent website.
Do we have a DEP number?
Yes, we do.
There
They
is a
gave you a number
DEP
without a
number.
fee? Wow.
Um,
You are,
Un-
you should buy a lottery. ticket.
Unusual.
can I add to that real quick?
Yeah, yes, of course.
So we had sent over a set of plans, the notice of intent application and the appropriate fee to the DEP Narrow office, I believe, August 1st. And we got a receipt of mailing back from them August 4th. So they should have the plans. I didn't get a chance to check with anyone over there as where they are. But I saw we got a file number this week or late last week.
Do you have it right there, Dick? Do you have the file number?
Yes. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. 046 -0658.
Okay. That's good, because we actually can't vote unless there's a number issued, but you've given us the numbers, so that's a big help.
All right, no problem.
Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah, I commend Mr. Courtney for a very complete plan and project description. I think it was very well done. There's like a lot of information here. It allows us to tell what they're proposing. The photographs were very good. I would quibble with him about calling a lawn a degraded area in the parlance of the Rivers Protection Act. I would say degraded areas are described in those regulations, and they're old dumps, building foundations, coal ash, things that are really degraded. A lawn is a deliberate construction, and it's alive, it's vegetated. What strikes me about this plan is that all the new stuff is closer to the river than what exists already. And there's something else I notice is that the distance between the new enclosed portion of the house, shown in brown on this plan, it's going to be less than 6 feet from the, I guess it'll be the fence along the walkway there. And up in the right corner of the plan, which you can't see in our screenshot, there's a little box that says zoning requirements, and it says side setbacks should be 10 feet. And yet here we're talking about 5.5. Does that mean this will have to go to the Board of Appeals for a variance from zoning?
So as far as we're aware at the moment, it will not. I believe we had correspondence with the architect, and they were relatively familiar with the zoning bylaw for Milton. And we had come to the conclusion through reading the zoning bylaw and correspondence that as of right, you should be able to maintain the same non-conforming dimension. So we have the existing deck that bumps out 5.5 feet here, and we're keeping the same setback to the property line. If by chance that's interpreted differently by the building department, we would deal with it then and have to pull back or reconfigure the addition. It would be smaller. But at this time, this is what we saw fit for.
I get it. Yeah, I was wondering if that might be the reason. From a wetlands perspective, you're going from lawn to a rooftop, and you are dealing with the increased impervious by adding this stormwater device that's shown in gray here. But it occurs to me that if you want to avoid an increase in impervious altogether, you could remove some of the existing paved area. And I noticed that there's a paved drive on both sides of the house. There's one on the north side that goes to a garage, and then there's another one in the southeast part that simply seems to be a parking area. Did you consider removing that impervious to make up for the impervious surface you're adding with the addition?
We did not consider that as part of this project, and I can't speak for Megan and Francis. But I do not believe they wish to remove the paved driveways for parking area.
Okay. From the perspective of the riverfront area regulations, the overriding consideration is try to make, if you're going to work in the regulated area, and this is inside the 100-foot, so it's quite close. If you're going to work in that area, try to reduce the impervious surface, or at least not increase it. And I think the submission is clear that there will be an increase that is about the size of this addition. Just makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm not regulating a project to have the impacts mitigated if the impervious is increasing within the inner riverfront area, which seems to be what is happening, not by a lot, but by the dimensions of this new addition. I wonder what any of the other commissioners think about that.
We've approved projects like this a number of times.
Yes, would you agree that there is an increase in impervious?
Yes, as most additions are.
Right, so that's what you want to mitigate, and you can, if you can reduce impervious somewhere else, then there is no increase. And I think a lot of our projects have tried to do that.
Tom, can I ask this? I understand what you said about mitigation for the increase in impervious surface, but doesn't the Caltech chamber mitigate that increase by basically holding at least the 1-inch rainwater?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I agree. But it's true that it accommodates the extra runoff, but there is still a loss of vegetated area in the inner riverfront area. It's going from vegetated to impervious. So I don't know. I guess I would, if I was being the tough guy and trying to protect the resources the best I could, I would ask that some impervious surface get removed, for like that paved area that's right on top of the lot line. You know, I have a lot similar to this. It's even a bit smaller, and I only have a driveway on one side of my house. I don't have it on both sides. Maybe we can hear from the property owner why they would like to keep this area paved.
Megan or Francis, can you respond?
Sure, yeah. Francis is actually watching. He's in the air flying home and he's watching on YouTube live, so he can't comment, but he is watching.
Okay.
We would like to keep both driveways. It's been really helpful for us with our children just to have or our child, and we're expecting another, to have the extra space to have, so ideally we would like to keep it.
I don't mean to be stupid, but if I have a child, I would rather them to be on grass than on pavement, right? I mean, that's just, I don't see why the child needs a paved area.
Megan, did you understand Tom's question? It related to the paved area, not the size of the addition.
I understand his.
Okay.
Yeah, it's helpful for us to each be able to leave. We each have a car in one of the driveways and have been able to leave quickly if needed. I don't have a very compelling argument, Tom. I'm sorry. It's been very convenient for us to have both, and When we started this project, our hope had been to keep both driveways if possible.
I understand that if you have two, then you don't have to jockey the cars. That makes sense. But from our point of view, the orthodoxy in protection is try to limit the increase in impervious surfaces. I guess for myself, if the rest of the commission feels that we can accept the increase in impervious surface, I'm going to go along with it as well.
Nick, this is Charlie Bosworth. I just have a quick question on the Peltec chamber.
Sure.
And this is in concert with Tom's question on the creating more impervious. With the Caltech chamber, aren't we capturing more runoff and infiltrating it into the ground versus rainfall running across the ground and down gradient towards the stream? So aren't we in fact infiltrating more water than we would if we weren't capturing it and we were letting it run overland?
That is correct. Yeah.
Well, isn't it so that the existing lawn is not impervious? So it would absorb water before it began to run off. A lawn in the soil, if it's permeable, will drink up a certain amount of rain before it starts running off. So I agree that yes, the Celtic will capture runoff, but what's there now captures some amount of runoff, is all I'm saying.
Agreed, Tom. Completely agree. I'm just looking at this from a standpoint of infiltrating it back into the ground before it runs off the property. And
Will the chamber take runoff from any areas beside the addition? It's not really clear to me.
Yeah, Nick, I would assume that the chamber has been sized to capture the amount of water that is now being will be impacted. It'll be an impervious area. I'm assuming the Caltech chamber was sized for that area.
Right. So down here, we just did a little stormwater calculation based on, this is the increased impervious area, 328 square feet. And it's typical to do treatment for 1 inch of runoff. So we just did 328 square feet times 1 inch to get a certain amount of volume, coming in at 27 cubic feet that we would need to recharge and infiltrate. And the Caltech chamber with surrounding stone provides almost 50 cubic feet, so double what would be required for 1 inch of treatment.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Any other commissioners have questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Steve.
Steve Ibis here. Couldn't the existing paved drive at the, let me think, that's the southeast corner? Is that correct?
Yes.
Whatever the corner is there, southwest or southeast. Couldn't that be converted to a semi-impermeable driveway?
You mean like gravel or pavers?
Yes, with pavers. With grass planted in between pavers.
Yep, that might work. Nick? Megan, what do you think? That would make Tom happy.
It would make me happy too.
Into that.
And Wendy,
You broke up a little bit, Megan?
Oh, we would certainly be willing to consider that.
Yeah, and just so you know, Megan, it would be these pavers with some voids in the middle. I can send you over some information about them. to look at.
One other thing that's probably worth pointing out, and I know it's not a stormwater control that's present on the site itself, but there are 2 additional stormwater basins that are between the property and the resource area. So there is other treatment occurring there that's actually not captured in this design, which is appropriately not being captured because it's more designed to catch the roadway runoff and the flooding. But that area actually has pretty significant stormwater protection already.
Yes,
One
yes,
quick
it does.
one quick question, Steve. Are you suggesting that they install a pervious paver system in lieu of the Caltech chamber?
Oh, no, not at all. In addition to the Caltech. That's all.
I think if I'm correct, Steve, are you talking about this area here potentially being
Yes.
converted to those pervious pavers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct.
Or gravel was mentioned, but we have a Caltech chamber and we have the mitigating factors on Parkway Crescent itself that Hans pointed out. There's a lot of protection there at present. And we don't know
Yes.
that the amount of lawn that's going to be lost absorbs any great degree of water. We have no idea what the composition of the soil is, what the angularity is. So I'm not inclined to put an imposition on the applicant to require them to remove the paved drive at this time. Just so they know where I am.
Yeah, I was just making a suggestion.
It will be torn up anyway as a construction entrance, or at least tracked up. I do like the idea of getting mitigation for increased impervious by adding more pervious in the driveway area. Although I believe Arthur makes a real point that some lawns absorb more water than others. We don't know how much this one absorbs.
And Hans has made a point about these small basins that are literally adjacent to the site that are on site right now.
Yeah, they could have been on the plan. I'm not sure why they're not.
Yeah. They were flagged by Brad Holmes, but they weren't put on the plan.
One of the things that could be considered is a gravel margin along the sides of the paved drive, particularly on the side facing toward the river.
Yes. Yes, that sounds like a very good idea.
So it's a combination of the two. You can keep
Yes.
the pavement and have some additional mitigation by putting in a marginal area of gravel.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that, Arthur. That's a good idea.
We just did that at 1034 Blue Hill Avenue.
That's right.
French drain right alongside the driveway.
Yep.
That's easy. And Nick or Megan, it's cheap.
But just to be clear, I mean, and I don't know the answer to this, but Megan, do you get surface flow? I mean, do you ever get water running over your driveway, or do you ever get any flooding in that spot?
Not that I can recall. No, we haven't had an issue.
So it does stay pretty dry.
It does.
Okay.
I would just say that this idea of a gravel trench seems to me okay compromise. It does somewhat address this impervious issue.
Wendy, you've been silent. Anything?
I'm wondering if perhaps I missed something in the presentation. Is there a compelling argument why the addition is not being proposed on the part of your lot that is further away from the over by the garage?
I may, I'll just run through really quick. So when looking at this addition, I had done a rough alternatives analysis for other potential areas on the site. If you were to put the addition over here, let's say, is that what you're suggesting, Wendy, on this side?
Wendy, you may have.
As far away from the brook as possible. Where it is now is as close as possible. I would prefer the opposite.
Yeah. Okay. So if I may, this is the setback line on this side of the property. And if you were to put the addition on this side, first of all, you'd lose the access to this garage, and you'd be increasing the nonconformity to the zoning bylaw on this side. You'd be pushing into the setback. Whereas on this side, you're matching.
If you were on the other side of the garage, just to interrupt you, but if you're on the other side of the garage, you would not be interfering with the driveway.
So here, right here, is this what you're suggesting back here?
As one possibility, yes.
Yep. I believe that would be the same case. You'd be increasing the nonconformity for the house. So you'd be pushing back this setback for the house way into here. So they're kind of the same argument for adding the addition on the back or the side. You're going to be increasing nonconformity for the zoning bylaw.
But you're also non-conforming with the setbacks as proposed, and you said that you weren't concerned about that.
This would be an as of right proposition here because we're maintaining this setback to the deck. As far as I'm aware, that's an as of right.
So Nick, what you're saying, there's an existing deck there now, and you're utilizing the same footprint, which grandfathers you into staying within your conformity on the lot.
Right.
Okay.
So let's say we bump this out to 16 feet this way, then that would require some other type of permit, potentially a variance or a special permit to allow that to happen.
And when in the area behind, next to the garage, that wouldn't block the garage, that's actually one story summer house. So it would be difficult to attach a two-story addition.
All right, well, we've kind of gone around the block on this one. We've got a number of ideas. What I'm trying to do, and Megan, for your benefit, and Francis, I always look for the path of least resistance. I know you need to have an addition here, and we're trying to help you do it in the best way possible. So if I could kind of put all these comments together, it sounds like there may be grounds for a compromise in the area of mitigation. The first mitigation that I see is that you're accommodating the runoff with the Caltech chamber. A second mode of mitigation would be to add a French drain, which is just like a 12-inch wide trench right next to the driveway, which keeps your ability to put the car there if that's what you want and you find convenient. So that would be two means of mitigating the increase in impervious surface. And then you've got the additional catch basins off property on the street. And you've agreed, at least during construction, to put in this, you're going to curve that erosion controls around on the street side to protect any runoff into the street and then into the brook. Is there a consensus there? And I'm not ignoring what you just said, Wendy, but it doesn't look like, it looks like there would be more of a need for a variance. And Megan and Nick, please be aware that you can't use, if we were to approve this plan, you can't use that with the ZBA and say, hey, they've already approved it. You know, that's their province. That's not ours. If they want to allow you to do whatever it is, 5.5 feet, that's within their bailiwick. That's not us. So it would be contingent upon, if we were to approve this plan, you know, with the amendments, it's all contingent upon the ZBA giving you the variance, if you need it. And Nick, I heard what you said. You think it's a matter of right? God bless you. I hope you're right. But I don't know, is there a sense among the commission members that we could arrive at a compromise between the Caltech chamber and the French drain alongside the driveway and leave the proposed addition on the riverside?
John, it's Charlie. I agree with that assessment.
And John, this is Steve. I would also agree.
Wendy, how do you feel? Because I know you were a proponent of moving the addition. And I don't, from an architectural point of view, I don't know if that'll work, because Megan just said you've got a 2-story addition attaching to a 1-story garage. And I don't know. I'm not venturing into the world of architecture.
In principle, I'm not in favor of adding more development closer to the river when there's an alternative, but I will defer to the wise judgment of my colleagues.
Tom, where are you on that?
I guess I'm sort of where Wendy is, and the reason is, I think, because this lot is tight. This space is reasonable in terms of existing house for an addition. So I'm sort of willing to bend my principle somewhat that projects should not result in a net increase in pervious areas in the inner riverfront area. And one more thing I would say is that you see the orange line down at the bottom, the dashed line.
Yes.
I believe, yeah, that's the floodplain boundary. And we know that storms are getting worse and floods are getting higher. And here's more building that's right on the edge of the floodplain. So this new building, as useful as it will be to the tenants, is sort of in harm's way as far as Pine Tree Brook goes. Now we know that Pine Tree Brook does not flood because of the flood storage dam up at Unkley to Harlan that holds it back. Probably won't flood again like it did in 55. But things are changing. Floods are getting worse. It's a little bit of a hostage. Well, it's a little bit of a hostage to the climate future to build right here, I would say. Even though I don't believe this owner needs to buy flood insurance because they're outside the boundary. People in the neighborhood do. As you can see, that orange boundary curves around and goes up toward the top of the plan for some reason. Don't really know why. At any rate, that's the condition at this site going forward. But I agree that some mitigations are included to an extent that I think we can approve it.
Yeah, Tom, quick note on that. That is actually a brand new delineated boundary. And my property is just a little bit further north. And I got a letter earlier in the summer indicating that I need to purchase flood insurance. So that flood boundary is actually new as of July.
I see. It's very curious the way it takes a sharp turn there away from the brook.
It is what it is. Lucky them.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry about that, Hans. May you stay dry.
I don't skirt the regulations, so.
All right, anybody else? And again, I'm looking at everybody. We've heard from Wendy, Tom, Charlie, Arthur. Are you comfortable with this compromise?
I am, and based upon the conversation, I'll make a motion accordingly, Mr. Chairman. that,
Well, first, let me ask if there are any members of the public, particularly abutters, but not limited to abutters, that have a question or a comment. I don't hear anybody, but I don't see all the participants because of the screen share. Could you take that down? Okay, so I don't see any hands either. So without further ado, then, do you have a motion, Arthur?
yes, with the sort of double mitigation, that, the one that's incorporated into the plan, and then the French drain addition on both sides of the driveway.
On both sides. I only had the
No, it's just
downstream
one
when I
side.
said it, but
You only want one side, Hans?
But that's what's been proposed. And again, that's above and beyond, but yeah, just a small
Yeah.
trench drain on one side of the loop.
I prioritized the riverside, but I
Yeah.
wasn't excluding the possibility that water could sheet onto the driveway from above the driveway, so to speak, so there'd be a French drain for that purpose as well on the other side of the driveway. But I'll defer to the engineers.
So there's also markings on the street there from the town of Milton. I think they're gonna also be repairing the road there as well. So there's gonna be adequate stormwater protection, more than adequate stormwater protection there, in my opinion.
Then I'll go with the riverside. I'll leave it at that.
all right. And would you take a friendly amendment to just include that our approval, if it passes, our approval is not intended to impinge upon the ZBA. That's within their province as to whether or not a variance is needed or not.
Understood and agreed.
All right. And Megan, for your benefit, and Nick as well, we have a standard condition that is that you can't store equipment, basically hydraulic, any motorized equipment, overnight within our jurisdiction, and you can't refuel that equipment within our jurisdiction. But all that means is that your contractor would need to, if they were using like a, I don't know, an excavator or a backhoe or something, they'd have to pull it out at nighttime.
Okay.
All right, so that's Arthur's motion. Is there a second for that?
Second.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Charlie. Any discussion among commission members? Hearing none. Tom, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Wendy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Hans, how do you vote?
Yes.
Arthur, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I, John Kiernan, vote yes as well. So with those special conditions, Megan, you're good to go. And up there in the sky, Francis, if you can hear us, you're good to go. Okay.
Thank you from both of us.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. And thank you for your patience with the process.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks. Thanks, Nick. Okay, now we're up to 5, discussion and vote on the tree placement 131 Elliott Street, continued from 7/8/2025. And Charlie, were you able to find that revised?
I was, John. If you can bear with me, I'll pull up the email that was sent. So the original enforcement order was dated 6/1/2015. The revised enforcement order was issued on August 22nd, 2017.
August
I'll-
27th, 2017?
22nd, 22, August 22,
Got it.
2017.
All right.
And what it states is, let me get down a section, under section C order. It states the following. And this is specific to the tree dimensions and numbers that were in the original enforcement order. So it says the property owner shall take the following action to prevent further violations of the act. The property owner shall be required to plant 5 legacy trees Legacy species defined as black oak. Bear with me, my phone glitching. Black hackberry or red oak, and to ensure the survivability. The commission is willing to reduce the caliper size from 6-inch to 4-inch to get the largest survivable legacy trees. The planting location of the trees needs to be approved by the Milton Conservation Commission. So that's what the revised order states.
6-inch to 4-inch, I understand, but what happens to the 12-inch?
I can only read what's written here, John.
John, if I recall, it was the 12-inch that was the issue. They brought up the concern that the 12-inch, it's a lot harder to transplant a 12-inch tree.
Oh, absolutely. That I remember. They'd have to take down wires to get it in place to traverse the roads of the town after we found a location.
Yeah, but also digging the tree itself. I mean, the active.
I agree.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, so that would speak to the survivability issue, Hans.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it still doesn't make sense because what the original June of 2015 order says, 1 black cherry, 12-inch caliper, 3 hackberry 6-inch caliper, and 2 red oak of 6-inch caliper. So we've got 1 12-inch and 5 6-inch. And then the 2017 order only addresses the 5, well, take the number out of it, only addresses the 6-inch caliber trees. Wow. I wonder whether or not we could find, because that's a big issue. So maybe what we could do is just do some research and look at the minutes of the meeting, or whatever recordation or notes that were taken back in 2017. Because obviously, who signed that? I presume I signed it.
Let's see. Yeah, John, you're on there. It looks like Ingrid. Kathleen Bowen's signature is on there, and I can't make out the other 2 signatures.
Maybe Judith, Darrell Kemp, or Jerry Burke.
They look like scribbles, John.
Got it. Okay. But aren't there typed names beside them?
Let me tell you. Bear with me again. I'm on my phone here with this. It doesn't appear so in the copy that I have. There is not a typed name next to the signatures.
Okay.
It's just section B that states appeals signatures, and there's 4 signatures and Kathleen Bowen's signature.
Okay. Well,
we're getting a lot of feedback on your mic. Do you think you can mute it a little bit?
I'm getting
Excellent.
feedback also, Hans.
Got it. Thanks. All right. So it looks like there's some confusion. As I told you, this was a contentious issue over a number of years. And I know transportation and transplanting are an issue. But it's unlikely that we ignored that 12-inch tree, unless we took it as 6-inch trees. I'd like to go back and see if we've got minutes of the meeting or notes of the meeting, and I'd like to talk to Ingrid. She may have a memory. I don't have a memory of, which I usually claim to have a pretty good memory of the discussion and who was on which side. I know that Judith was active on this particular issue. Wendy, were you there in 2017?
No, I was not.
Okay. Well, Philip, maybe you could do some research, but so that we don't slow the process down, because tonight we're going to be considering whether or not, we apply whatever trees were required. If we can shift those over to Peverly Park, which is where we are on the agenda right now. So we're actually looking at tree replacement 131 Elliott Street. And then we've got, if we can jump to I'm sorry, I thought we had, well, I guess maybe implicit in number 5 was, putting them in Beverly Park, because we do have in our packet the, Beverly Park tree locations. And we've got the email from Steve Conley. And for the public's benefit, I should read it. I know we've all got it in the packet, but it says to Philip Driscoll, we were contacted by Commission Member Bosworth regarding the planting of trees at the location for Beverly Park on Sumner Street. My understanding is that the Conservation Commission members are looking for this location as a suitable site for us to complete the requirements listed on the revised enforcement order issued August 22nd, 2017 regarding 131 Elliott Street. Commission member Bosworth connected us with Bill Madden, who is providing professional design services for the project. Please see the attached landscape plan provided by Gregory Lombardi Design, Inc. I think that's where Bill Madden works, I believe. Highlighting the location of the proposed trees. If the Conservation Commission approves these locations, we will coordinate with Bill and plant the trees. So maybe we could address that issue, because attached to that email from Steve Conley to Philip is, I believe this is, I think it's Bill Madden's or Lombardi landscaping. This is pretty small print. Philip, can you help me out? This is a plan. We're looking at L1.01. And it's got some locations for trees. And there are a number of them. I think the only issue that some people might have is that on this proposed plan, we've got a number of different trees. We've got, gosh, somebody's going to have to help my eyesight here. I know we've got red maple, we've got hackberry. And Steve, can you read them?
I don't have them up on the screen right now, but I remember there was a river birch, and it was river birch, but it was not a native. It was a hybrid, as I remember. That's the current plan, right? That you're looking at, John?
Well, I've got a landscape plan, and the lower right-hand corner, it says L1-.01. And this is Beverly Park, Sumner Street, Milton, Mass, in the top right. I thought that was in the packet.
It was in the packet.
Yeah, can you read it, Philip? Because I'm having a hard time. I should wear glasses, but under the botanical
Let me see
name
if
and
I
the
can get to
common
it,
name,
John.
and then the size, and then
Sure.
there's a caliber off to the right. That's on the left-hand side.
Hold on, let me see.
John, I can see
There's a shad bush, red maple, and hackberry.
Yeah, what's the first one? Downey?
Amelanchier.
Downey
Yeah.
shad blow. There were 11 of those. Followed by 3 red maple,
3 red maple, and then
5 hackberry.
hackberry. So my understanding, John, is that Mr. Conley intends to donate the trees that are required under his enforcement order and plant them in these locations at Peverly.
But whose plan is it that we're looking at? Is this Bill Madden?
Yes, this is Bill Madden's plan. He met with Mr. Conley, and Bill was very gracious to include Mr. Conley's tree mitigation into Peverly Playground final design, which is basically what we're looking at here. And the locations that the trees are situated that are part of the enforcement order could be planted before the playground even starts.
That's true, as long as we have the property boundary lines, because we don't want, we don't want to get into an issue on this land swap, because it will trigger an Article 97 issue. And we've got an Article 97 issue coming up in the next town meeting at the end of October. There's an article being submitted on the land swap that took place, so we need to make sure that we're in full compliance. And
You know,
did anybody talk, Charlie, did you talk to Bill about that, whether that's a 4 acre? Because I think the provision was no more than 4 acres would be to the park department. So I just want to make sure this boundary is no more than 4 acres.
my last conversation with Bill, they were actually shrinking the original design down a little bit. So
This is
it's
Steve
not
Ives.
it's not growing. It might be slightly smaller than
Yes.
the original plan. I did have a
Yes,
email
we're
from
talking
Mr.
about your issue right now.
I did have a
Oh, I'm
email.
sorry.
Hey, Steve,
You're
you're
the
live on
phone
that.
number. I'd like to know who's there.
Steve,
I'm
you're
admitting you
live
right
on
now.
on your.
You've got it.
Steve, you with us?
Sure.
Steve Ives? Hello, Steve.
Yes, Steve Connolly is trying to get into the meeting.
Okay,
That's who I'm on the phone with.
okay.
Good luck, Steve.
So, John, I was looking at the email chain
No, you should
that's
be able to get in.
that Mr. Conley had sent me.
Yeah. Sure.
When he sent over that revised order. And he had mentioned in the email that part of the enforcement or the mitigation plan was to plant certain species on the project in lieu of that 12-inch tree. Now, I don't have any, and do you remember that, Hans? I see you shaking your head.
I do. And it was basically to increase the number of plantings overall to try and equal out to the large trees that Mr. Connolly was concerned about the feasibility of.
Hans, one thing I'm certain of is that we never allowed the landscaping plan for the project to be in lieu of the sanction for the enforcement order. That was abundantly clear.
Okay.
Because that was an early suggestion from the applicant, and the commission unanimously said, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, this was
The
early
landscape
on in my
plan's got to go up or
tenure,
down
so-
on its own merits, and you can't use the sanction to fulfill your landscape plan obligations. We kept those separate, and that was, we were.
So you're talking about the
uniform.
large tree, the issue with the removal of the large tree separate from the modification of the overall landscape plan.
Well, I don't have a memory of modifying it, but the landscape plan that we approved was separate and distinct from the sanction imposed for removing the John Adams oak.
Yeah.
That was clear. Now, we might have modified the landscape plan later on, but that's what I don't have a memory of, and it doesn't seem to be in that
Hi, Steve.
17 order. So what I suggest is we move on with this.
Hang on a second. I'm going to invite you right now
right.
into the meeting if I can figure out how to do that.
Steve, why don't you go on mute while you're talking to Steve Conley?
I shall.
Thanks. Okay. I think that's the best way to just move this forward. It sounds like we've got a plan in place. I just want to make sure that that the plan that we approve for the planting of these trees being transferred from 131 Elliott Street to Beverly Park is within the right. We don't want to approve a plan that exceeds the 4 acres. And I can't tell, I heard what you said, Charlie, but I can't tell if this is the new revised plan that is smaller than an original or a previous plan. I don't know what size this is, but we've got to be very careful of that.
Yeah, John, and I don't know any of that information regarding the original plan size versus where we are now. That's something that obviously we're going to have to vet out before Beverly even moves forward.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Just take a look at this and just put the 12-inch tree aside for the time being. Take a look at the plan proposed, because as Steve pointed out, at least one of them is not a native. Does anybody have a problem with that? Because I think we've been.
I don't, but I would point out, John, the shad bushes are not trees. They're
What
bushes. The river birches, the shad bushes are not trees. They're shrubs. Also, they're multi-stemmed. A shrub has many stems, a tree has one stem. Shad bush is multi-stemmed, and so is river birch. The ones that are commonly planted, they usually have 3 stems. You know, as you go into the library over that, you walk over the ditch into the library, those are all river birches. They're all multi-stemmed. They're not big trees. Now, if you want to use this area to soak up the mitigation from Central Ave, I would say hackberry, great, red oak, great, black oak, great. Those are big trees, though. They can't really be added to this plan because it's already stuffed with plantings. And these are big trees that take a lot of space. Now, you said, well, we have Article 97 concerns. We can't expand the footprint of Beverly, the playground area. I would just say that if the trees were planted on our land, outside the boundary of the park department land, I don't think that's an expansion of the project, because planting of trees is appropriate for conservation land. So I'm just suggesting there might be a workaround where we can get the number of trees appropriate to fill out all the mitigation owed us from Elliott Street without interfering with the existing plan if we were to plant them slightly further out away from the boundaries of the playground. That's just a suggestion. I would say, in my mind, the issue with these big caliber trees
going on
is that it's very difficult to plant them and get them to live. As you remember, I circulated a 10-inch oak that was 200 years old, and we're talking about 12-inch oaks. So it just, from a practical point of view, I would say, let's use our rule of thumb and impose mitigation in caliper inches. And if we're trying to replace an Adams oak that was 6 feet in diameter, we'll do it with 3-inch caliper trees. There will just be a lot of them. And why do I say 3-inch caliper? Because that's the size the trees are marketed and planted at, as far as I know. I don't really know that you can acquire bigger trees than that. Now, I know that it was important to Judith to get this mitigation right, and I would like to follow her lead on it. But from a practical point of view, I just don't see the viability or the practicality of looking for these big trees to plant. That's just my point of view.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Steve Connolly would like to try to go through speaker on this phone in front of me and talk to the group, if
Sure.
that's okay with you.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, Steve,
ahead,
if you can hear
Steve.
us.
Everybody hear me?
No.
Can you hear him?
Slightly. but you gotta
Just
get the
slightly.
phone closer to your speaker.
Um,
Don't we have a call-in number on the, can he call directly?
I thought
There
so,
is.
but
It looks
Yeah.
like
There is a
somebody,
number on the agenda.
you couldn't get into it, John.
Okay. Well, I
there
tried
is
last
somebody
meeting,
on
I
the
couldn't get
phone.
in either.
Yes, that's him, but he can't get inside.
Well, he's muted. If he's on the phone, he's muted.
Yes, but I don't know if he
Muted.
has an ability to unmute on the phone.
Yeah, the phone service usually says, like *6 or
Yeah.
1-6.
Exactly.
Try *6.
Steve, I believe you have the ability to unmute as the host.
I'm sorry, say
Unmute
that
him
again,
on
please.
Zoom.
I'm not catching
You are
it.
the host
You're
of
in.
this meeting,
No,
correct,
he's in.
Steve?
He's in.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Stevie. We can hear
Okay.
you
He's
now.
in. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Ooh, all right. I've been sorry, guys. Regarding the first thing is that we did incorporate some of the satisfaction of the enforcement order into the notice of intent, John. It's condition number 47. And what it states is the applicant shall plant the largest survivable heirloom tree. The commission agreed to amend the enforcement order to reflect the partial satisfaction of the required sanctioned order. So what we did is we had an extensive discussion in August of 2017, and the goal of that meeting, from our perspective, was to quantify what would be left after the notice, the work for the notice of intent was complete on site, and that's when it was agreed to that we'd have remaining 5 4-inch caliper trees off site. So that was discussed extensively at that meeting in 2017.
So what was planted pursuant to provision 47?
Whatever is on that landscape plan, it's 4 years ago now, whatever is on that landscape plan that we submitted for the notice of intent, everything is there. I think, if I remember right, there was 23 trees total, 19 on site, and then 4 along the streetscape on Central Avenue, new ones. So there was 23 total. And then we have these 5 4-inch trees remaining.
I'm trying to reflect back because we may be in total agreement on this, but there was an originally approved landscape plan for the project. And then, as you say, we went back and revisited that and we modified the landscape plan by adding stuff.
And that's how we came up with it. We had 19 total, John, because the notice of intent, we came in with a plan. I remember this, I remember what you had said, that we wanted to have that satisfy the order, and the commission said no. And I remember that. But we did come to an agreement that the landscape plan would be a partial satisfaction and that these 5 4-inch trees would be the remainder. It was, the discussion was with Michael Blute, Arthur Doyle, Ingrid was there, and yourself. And I watched that, I don't know how many weeks ago. I watched it again after the last meeting. It's on that Milton Access TV, on the YouTube website. If anyone wanted to watch it, they could see that section. So that's where we're at. I'm just trying to.
But when you read that 47, it says that you were going to add to the landscape plan. Did you say a legacy tree or 4 legacy trees or something? Can you just read that again?
It talks about planting the largest survivable legacy tree, I think. So, and I believe there's red oak trees on site there. I'd have to get that plan again, John. But I believe we have red oak trees along with other trees. There's 19 in total on site and 4 on the streetscape for a total of 23.
So Steve,
Along with the other-
did you update the landscape plan to fulfill the requirements?
Yeah, the
from
landscape,
your-
the landscape plan, yeah, the landscape plan that was approved is the landscape plan that was generated after our meetings.
Okay,
That's
so
the
let me
final
hold on.
plan is what was approved.
Hold on, let me just clear this up. So you had an original landscape plan, and then to meet the requirements of the enforcement order, you did an addendum to your landscape plan?
If I remember correctly, and again, this is going back to, Jesus, 2017. We came in, it was Alan and Major was our engineer. We came in, we had multiple meetings with the Conservation Commission regarding this because we got these things approved before we took possession of the town-owned lots. There was a lot of things going on at that time with that site. So the final plan that we submitted that got approved for the order and conditions, that plan was in and approved. There was never a quote-unquote amended plan to it. It went through the meetings, and then the final plan was voted on and signed off on by the commission, and that's what's on file right now. So there was a number of meetings on that notice of intent.
That's true. There were a number of meetings. All right, so I think just to move this along, I'd like to see that, 47 and go over that. Because the 12-inch tree just kind of disappeared on the enforcement order. And it may be as a result of what you just said, the provision 47 on the June of 2017 order. So it may work out. So why don't we just, we don't have a certificate of compliance for the enforcement order before us anyway. So I think we can address the Peverly Park component of this by addressing the 5 4-inch trees. And I agree with what Tom Palmer said, that we don't have to be too concerned with the limitations of the 4 acres because we can put it on our own land. I just don't want to get into a box on Article 97 that we would then have to come up if we're changing the use from whether active recreation to passive recreation by planting trees there. We don't have land that we could give to ourselves to replace that land.
Understood. So would the best thing to be moving before anything gets planted is obviously coordinate with the Conservation Commission along with Bill Madden, who's the point person for Peverly Park, and just have a site walk. If ultimately this is decided on to be a good location for 5 trees, we'll just coordinate and make sure we're in the right spot.
Yeah, I think so. So I'd like to make sure from Bill Madden that we've got the final, from their perspective, their final approved plan to make sure it's the 4 acres. And if it's got to be 4 acres. And then if the appropriate location for the trees is outside of that, it's on our land. So we could approve that, as Tom pointed out. And I think that probably makes the best sense. And then at the same time, we can confirm, the provision 47, as Steve has just indicated. And that will put us in a position to take a look at the certificate of compliance, which is not before us now anyway.
That's right. Tonight it's just to get the okay to plant the trees. Right.
So the only thing that's left here is this non-native species and what native species. Yeah, I mean, Wendy, I'd like to hear from you. What you think about these. I don't know why that's echoing. Wendy, what do you think about the species? And we're talking about 5 4-inch trees at Peverly Park or its environs. And Tom just pointed out that some of these are shrubs.
Why are you? Yeah. Why is it that there's a suggestion of using non-natives?
I think we're conflating 2 issues here. The planting schedule that we're looking at on the landscape plan for Peverly the 11 shrubs that we're talking about, that's a Peverly issue. That's not a Steve Conley issue. Just to make it clear, Mr. Conley's not proposing to put in those 11 non-native. That's a Peverly Park issue.
Right. On the landscape plan, they had asked for hackberry, and I guess it's because it's the cleanest of the three that were listed: black oak, red oak, or hackberry, and they felt that would be the best tree to be in proximity to the play area.
Yeah, that sounds fine, but I thought that Steve and a number of people said that one of the proposals, which I'm having a hard time reading, is not native, number one, and then number two, as Tom just pointed out, some of these, I guess, are shrubs or bushes, and they're not trees.
Okay, so the plan that we submitted, that he gave to me, that I forwarded to Phil Driscoll, it should be in color. The 5 trees that has to do with the enforcement order, which are hackberry. That's all that I'm concerned. I'm not involved in anything else. And it's just the placement of those 5 trees that are on the plan. They should be highlighted in green.
I do see it. It's on the top edge of the delineated area. They're sort of a little darker in black and white, you can tell. And by the way, hackberry are native, and so is shadbush, and so is red maple. I don't see any non-natives on here.
Tom, the non-native was the Petula nigra was the river birch on that list.
I don't see it on the list, and also it is native along the Neponset from Paul's Bridge all the way down to Baker Dam is sort of grove of river birch that's nearly continuous. It is
yes, but this was river birch with a with another word after it. Okay, that's what it was.
I'm
And
looking for it
on what Philip sent us, right?
I don't see that, Steve. I'm looking at the upper left-hand corner of what Philip sent us. And I just see the shadbush, the red maple, and the hackberry. There are three listed, and Steve Conley's correct, because he said the 5 trees that he's talking about at the bottom of that map where it says trees.
I'm looking, it says Durahit River Birch. I'm looking at a plan. Let me see if I can find the date of the plan.
This one says May 2nd, 2025.
Okay. And so does this one. It's L1.0101.
That's what I have.
Well, I've got that too, but I don't see the river birch.
I don't know.
If you look up in the top left-hand corner, it's yellow.
Well, mine doesn't have colors.
Okay. There are 5. It's a key BN Betula nigra Durahit with a single quote. Okay, and that's not a native.
It's funny, I don't see it.
I don't see it,
I don't have
Steve.
them on my list either.
I don't see it on mine either, that I'm looking at.
I'll be darned. Well,
No, I think you have a different list, Steve.
Obviously I do, but it's got the same date.
Yeah, that's odd.
That's very strange.
But I think what they did was they just mapped out the trees that we're proposing onto the same plan. They probably didn't update the date on it. So, but the one that I have that I submitted, on the bottom, on the third little box on that left side, it has Conservation Commission notes. Does everybody
On the
see that?
left-hand side, box.
Left-hand side, top left, in the third box down, Conservation Commission notes.
Yes,
Yes, I see it.
Conservation Committee
I
notes.
see it.
Trees indicated
so
in
that-
green are mitigation planting.
Right.
If you look at the little box with the trees in it, the third box that says Hackberry looks like it was
Right.
revised or edited.
That's the second box on my list.
Huh.
So can I ask, Mr. Connolly, can you ask him to reissue the plan set with a updated date and,
Yeah.
corrected information, just so we're all working off the same thing? And I know it's a pain.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I think that'll
Yeah,
help
no,
this,
I can do that. And
this
can
wagon
you,
train.
can you see where the locations are that he mapped out at, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, those could be made out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all outside the 100-foot buffer. Yep.
All right, so why don't we do that? Steve, if you could issue the, the new plan, and I don't know if it's you or Bill Madden, and then we should probably walk the site sometime in September, but we need to get Bill Madden involved, so I don't think we can set a date tonight. But at some
No,
Saturday
correct.
in between now and September, whatever, we
Okay.
should probably go out there with Bill and with a new plan. Date to be determined some Saturday in late August or early September.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
In concept, it looks like a good idea to take these 5 4-inch trees and put them at the Beverly Park area, whether it's on their
Okay.
property or on our property.
And that's what we're trying to accomplish tonight anyway, right?
Correct.
John, does that mean we're getting a survey of the property to see where the trees are going?
Bill, that's already been done.
Oh,
That
that's
was
okay.
the original Beverly Park. That was CPC money that Wendy will remember. They got the survey. And then we used their survey to go out and we actually used their survey to do the locating the pedestrian bridge. That was a Beverly Park Group survey that we used. And Steve added flags to it and somebody else was out there putting flags down. And
Excellent.
that's what we're using for the bridge location. So that part's been done, but they hadn't within that property line. They actually, I haven't seen where the playground is actually going to go. That's still in the concept. I've seen a concept plan with trails coming down and their trails that Bill provided to us, I don't know, almost a year ago, probably. Their trails were going to connect with the trail that connects where the pedestrian bridge is going all the way to the current pathway, which is on the northern, it's further towards the northern bridge, where it goes into the woods. So we do have those concept plans, but Philip, if you and Steve, if we can, the three of us can coordinate with Bill Madden, we can come up with finalizing their plans. And then, we'll go out on a public meeting notice and locate them. Based upon, he's the landscape architect, so and we can certainly take his locations to heart. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I don't think we need a vote tonight because it sounds like there's a consensus that's the next step forward to coordinate with Bill and get out there and take a look. All right. And again, for Steve's benefit, I think in concept, this all makes sense. All right. Steve, can you, if you've got accessible, can you email to me or Philip or Steve or all of us that order of conditions that you were reciting, that provision 47 from June of 2017?
Yes, well, I can do that tomorrow for you, John. No problem.
That's perfect. All right, good. Thank you very much. I don't know. I know we've belabored this point a bit, but I think we've made some progress, at least in concept. Are there any other suggestions as to further actions at this time, or can we delay this until we can coordinate with Bill Madden? That agreeable to everybody?
Yep, we have to do it.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I would love to see a copy of that survey plan.
Got it. Okay,
If
I'll ask
possible in
you
the future, yeah.
when we coordinate with Bill Madden.
Okay.
All right. All right. I think we're good on Article 5. Steve, thanks for your participation. I think we're ready to move
Okay.
on to number 6 on the agenda. And this is determination of applicability 681, 695, 725, 840 Hillside Street, continued from our site walk. That's the occasion that we lost our quorum and couldn't vote, but we have a subcommittee. And who was still there? Steve was there, I was there, Ingrid was there, Tom was there. And I think we lost somebody along the way. So I know we didn't have a quorum, but we actually walked to the site. This is a fiber optic cable. It's going in to improve the DCR communications. And then we went across the street, parked in the Houghton's Pond lot, and went down and saw, it's just a small stretch that comes from the, I don't know what they call it, the field house or the equipment house. It's before you get to the bathhouse. It's where the
visitor center.
What's
It's
it
called
called?
the visitor center. The visitor center is
Visitor
the
center.
building with the thatched roof. Yeah, by the playground.
Right. And we saw that side is very easy because that already exists. All they're going to do is pop their manholes and put their fiber optic cable through the existing conduit. So there's no construction there at all on the public pathway, but to the visitors center, between the visitors center and the raised walkway where you can see Marigold Marsh. That's where you can overlook the marsh that we permitted probably 5 years ago. So in that area between the field house and the raised walkway, they're going to dig a trench, but it's only like, I don't know, a foot wide and 2 feet deep or something like that. To put
It's
in
2 by 2. 2
2
feet
point-
by 2 feet.
2 feet by 2 feet. All right, so that's pretty limited. They'll use erosion controls, get in and out very quickly. It all made sense to me, and it looked like little to no disturbance, certainly no permanent disturbance. But Tom, I'd like to hear from you because you were there, and Steve, you were there.
Yeah, I would say there is no point where these trenches, which are long, go into a wetland or even close to a wetland. As far as I recall, the closest place is the site you mentioned by the visitor center. So to me, it seemed easy to approve because the work was digging a 2 foot by 2 foot drench in a long, elongate pattern, and then putting the cable in and putting the dirt back in. So that was the work. It seemed to me pretty minor, even though the total length of the trenches is significant. So I would be inclined to approve it as is.
Steve, any comments? You were there.
He's on mute.
Steve, you're on mute. Steve Ivas, we can't hear you. No, you're on mute. You don't have to get closer to the mic. There you go.
Some of the work is inside existing conduit, so it's even easier.
Correct. On the Houghton's Pond side, most of
Yes.
it's existing conduit.
Exactly.
The only trenching was between the field house and the walkway.
That's right.
But on the other side of the road near the stables, the trench goes from what's it called, the captain's house? In
Yes.
back of the stables all the way up to the state police barracks. In back
That's
of that.
correct. Yeah.
And that's about a 300 plus foot trench. But it certainly made sense to me. Tom and Steve, anybody else? Philip, you were there.
Yeah, I thought it made sense to me too.
All right, good. Any other thoughts or questions? Because we decided we'd be a subcommittee and report back that we thought we could take a vote on it. And the fellow there from DCR was very cooperative and instructive and a gentleman. Answered all of our questions. So I think with a report from the subcommittee there, I think we're in a position to issue a negative determination of applicability on the condition that they have erosion controls on that area, at least between the public pathway and the field house. It's a stretch of about, I don't know, 40 feet or so. And they'll need some limited erosion controls because they're going to be in and out in less than a day, I'm sure. And the rest of that is in existing conduits across the street. Tom, do you think they need erosion controls there?
It didn't look like it to me, but
It did.
not an expert.
Did or did not?
No, I didn't think they were necessary because they were trenching in an area that is far from any wetlands.
I agree. Steve, you agree?
I agree entirely, yes.
All right. So the only condition would be, I think they should have erosion controls when they're right next to the Houghton's Pond area, but that's a simple one. And then the other condition would be that, the standard, no refueling or overnight storage in our jurisdiction. So is there a motion to approve a negative determination on that RDA? Since others.
I moved that we, yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
And I was there, Tom, so I'll second that. Any discussion from commissioners or members of the public about it or otherwise? Hearing none, voice vote. Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
And I, John Kiernan, yes, as well. All right, thanks. Next is order conditions at 1034 Blue Hill Avenue, continued from 7/19. This is Ann Grealish's home that we all visited. And this is the one where we actually stopped by her house and she was present, but we didn't have a quorum. So we went in and said, we like the plan. We were all, most of us were there previously. And this is the one where we requested that as you go down her driveway, she wanted to expand it to the left. And we had suggested at a site visit that she add a 1-foot trench drain to the left of the driveway to make sure that there's no water running off of her driveway that would go into her neighbor's yard. And that seemed to be an appropriate fix. She agreed to it. Her representative agreed to it. And I suggest that we're in a position right now to issue the order of conditions with that as a special condition. But Steve, you may remember some other special conditions. And
There
Tom,
was
you
one
may
other
as well.
special condition, and that was a dry well coming off the new roof
Yes.
is what it was.
And Tom, do you remember any other special conditions?
Is that the lot where some big trees had come down and there was a little bridge over the brook to some lawn on the far side?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that's a lot.
right. I agree that it's appropriate to issue an order for the proposed work. On the other hand, when we were there with our owner, I was trying to encourage her to allow some woody stuff to grow up to shade the brook. I think she heard me because she's not actually working in that area. I don't think it's appropriate to add conditions about that, but I would just say that that particular lot, that brook has been neglected, and it ought to be a much more attractive part of the lot. I guess that's what I would say about it. Much more attractive and much more ecologically equipped to protect the water quality. What it is now is, you remember that there were like river rocks placed into the banks to kind of hold it, but there was vines over everything and there was no shade. The biggest issue for me was a complete lack of shade, and that was only because they had lost 2 huge trees. So I did say to the homeowner, wouldn't it be good if you had some trees along the banks here? I don't know if she's interested or not, but I don't really think it's appropriate to require them because she's not working in that area, not proposing work. That was just my take.
Well, how about an order, approving the order of conditions, as discussed and as proposed, and just adding a footnote, if you will, that the commission encourages you to plant shade trees along the brook, but that's not a requirement of the order of conditions.
Yeah, that's very good. That's what I would support.
All right, any other comments on that?
The only thing that I'd add, John, to what Tom said is that the area along the brook was not well tended to. You know, there's very little obvious historical protection of that brook.
But are you talking about banks eroding into the debris? Or I'm not sure what you're talking about.
There was sort of an eclectic combination of things along the side of that brook, actually on both sides, if I remember correctly.
Well, her land is on both sides.
That's right.
Well, maybe we could add that to the footnote, because as Tom pointed out, it's not where her proposed project is. That's the
I would agree.
street
Tom,
side.
do my sentiments parallel your observations in addition to the absence of canopy? Because the trees or the canopy is going to affect the water quality, the water temperature, insects, possible marine life, a whole host of things that are needed.
But what you're saying is, just as a footnote, we would encourage you to maybe consider planting some shade trees in the future to improve the quality of the
On the banks of the brook,
Yeah.
where the roots will hold the soil as well.
But just recognizing that it's not part of the project that they're proposing.
Correct.
Correct. Is that good, Arthur?
Yes, that'd be fine.
All right. Any other comments or suggestions from commissioners? We might be missing Wendy for a moment.
Chasing her
No.
cat.
Chasing the cat. Let me stall, but just because there were very few of us there, I'll make the motion to speak slowly just so we can make sure we get Wendy back. To issue an order of conditions approving the project with our typical special conditions of no overnight storage or refueling of hydraulic or heavy equipment, and that we also footnote this to ensure that she knows we're encouraging without requiring planting shade trees along the brook to increase its ecological value.
Sounds great.
So that's the motion. I'm speaking slowly so we get our commissioner back. Is there a second to that motion?
I will.
Okay.
I was trying to do it slowly as well.
All right. Hello, Wendy. Come back. Well, we still have a quorum, so I think we can proceed. If there's no discussion, I don't see any members of the public here, so voice vote. Tom, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
And I, John Kiernan, vote yes as well. Okay, so Wendy will have abstaining. All right, so let's moving on. Number 8, this is certificate of compliance 531 Elliott Street. We actually visited there, and it was kind of by that time it was just Steve, Tom, and I think it was just me, right? I think it was just 3 of us. Interesting area, interesting project. But what we found was that in back of the garage, and I think you folks will remember this because we were out there a bunch of times. Oh, Wendy, we put you down as an abstention because we didn't know if you were gonna return. But we just voted to issue an order of conditions at 1034 Blue Hill Avenue with the usual conditions. And this is the one where we approved a plan to put a French drain along the left side of the driveway as you head in from Blue Hill Avenue to the left. And then to add a footnote that not as a requirement, but to note that the Conservation Commission encouraged the homeowner, who's Ann Grealish, to plant some shade trees along the banks of the brook to improve its ecological value. So we did.
Thank you,
vote.
John. My apologies for having to step away.
All right. So next, we're to the compliance at 531 Elliott Street. This is the one where we did require, there was some grading done, some, I think, construction debris that was brought in as well as regular fill. And they basically flattened the backyard. We were out there a number of different times. We did vote, I don't know, a couple of years ago to enforce a $3,000 fine, which, Philip, can you confirm has been paid?
It has been paid, yes, I can
All right,
confirm.
so that's done. The other part of the enforcement order was to plant, I think, 6 trees, and we went out there and counted the trees, and they have been planted. They looked healthy to me. The only concerning part was, and again, this may go beyond the enforcement order. Well, maybe not, because there appeared to be debris that had been dumped into the stream, which is an intermittent stream, but it runs from the back of the garage where it daylights. It appears to be the confluence of drainage pipes under Elliott Street that somehow leave the street, go down his driveway, under his garage, and then daylight in the back of his garage and head towards Pine Tree Brook to the Neponset, to the Neponset. Now, just to orient yourself, just to the left, if you're walking along that intermittent stream towards the Neponset, to the left is 30 Curtis Road, which is the Unkley House. And we've all been there several times. But when we looked at the stream just downstream from the garage, there appeared to be debris that had been dumped in there, and the growth of, I guess it was multiflora rose, and there may have been some other trees there that are clearly blocking the stream. And it was like a dam. So it's easy to add to the enforcement order to say that as part of the certificate of compliance, you've got to get the debris out of there. That's the easy part. But I think Tom wanted to add, and perhaps Steve wanted to add as well, that they should remove the multiflora rose. I'm not sure we've got the authority to do that, but this might be one where, and Tom, I know you're in an unusual position because you advised the homeowner in the past. This may be for you to talk to him.
Right. I don't think I should vote, but I did speak to Lucian earlier this week, and I said, there's one thing that we probably will have an issue with. Do you know what that is? And I said, it is that outfall. You may remember in the original submission that I showed a drainage map of that portion of town provided by the town that shows that 12 acres all the way over to Brook Road drains under his garage out of that pipe. And we've had big storms. And as you noticed while we were there, the heavy flow had started to cut into his lawn because it was blocked in the actual channel by debris. But the debris was the smallest part of it. I would say the real block was that big rose bush, that big multiflora rose, that forced the flow towards his lawn, and he lost material. And I said to Lucian, that needs to come out so the stream will go back in its channel. And he said, I would have cut it by now, but I was afraid that I didn't have permission. So he is okay with removing it. And if we can give him that instruction in one way or another, I think that would be helpful to his lawn, and it would also improve the condition of the brook because it would not be leaving in its banks. I would ask if Steve agrees with my assessment, because he looked at it too.
So, just wondering really quick, I mean, if this is associated with a town-owned drainage pipe, I assume there'd be
That's right.
there'd be an easement associated. Wouldn't that be a town
There
maintenance
must
issue?
It's on his property, so it's sort of a gray area, isn't it?
Well, it depends if there's an easement and what the easement says.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. You wouldn't think it was anything to do with a town, because it's at the back of his lot, and the pipe comes out, as you remember, from the foundation of his garage. So when he moved in, he had no idea where all that water was coming from, and he is sort of supporting the town's infrastructure via that easement. And he is faced with the fact that when we have big storms, a lot of water comes out that pipe. As you remember, years ago, when we first visited, there was a silty pool in the far corner, rear corner of his lot, where material coming out of the pipe settled, and it not only included sand and grit and mud, but pop bottles and trash. It was really something that
Tom, what I'm
needed
saying is
work.
that the source of the deleterious material is likely from town roads being conveyed by a pipe that might be owned by the town, and it might in fact be somewhat the town's responsibility to maintain its stormwater system. I'm just looking at it from both sides.
Yeah, I get if I were to say to Lucian, you go to the town and get them to do X, he would say, I never want to hear from them again. I mean, he is sort of raw about the whole thing. And I'm not saying that our fine wasn't justified, but I would say that he is sort of taking some of the town's water and having to deal with it. So when you say if he should go to the town and ask them to maintain the brook behind his house, I would say that is sort of a reasonable argument. But I would say it's easier if he just does it himself. Goes in there with chainsaw, maybe some big loppers, removes that enormous multiflora rose bush, and the problem is solved.
Path of least resistance, Hans. And there are two problems with the drainage pipe. One of them is the debris that he dumped there.
Yeah, that is.
That's his problem.
That
the other
piece
one,
of it,
the growth of the rose bush. You're right.
I wouldn't say that I saw any debris that had been tossed in there when I was there. It may have been. I just didn't notice it.
There was dirty
Okay.
fill. I would call it dirty fill. So the
What did
fill
you say,
was-
Hans?
There was material
I
mixed in
see,
with the
right.
fill material that he used.
Yeah, we're going way back. That was before I even showed up. Yeah, I get it. I said to Lucian, I was going to argue at this hearing for you not have to pay, because in the past we have waived a lot of fines when homeowners have responded and done what we asked. But I also said to him, I said that to the chairman, and he said, I don't know about that, because in the beginning, real actions were taken that were damaging. So he knows the situation. That's why he's not here tonight. And he's hoping that we will, or you will, award the certificate.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with the certificate, and I see this as a separate issue that the Concom could bring to the town on his behalf, bring up the issue, because again, I don't want to take advantage of the gentleman because he's not familiar with how our beloved, municipal system works. I'd rather, empower homeowners to to understand whose responsibility is what, and to get people to take ownership accordingly.
I don't know
I
if
see
you're
your
talking
point.
about recent events, like the blockage, or if you're talking about the original events. Because the original events, he actually violated the Wetlands Protection Act after we issued the enforcement order.
I recognize that part. I'm only speaking to the part where you're saying that where his property is being eroded and there's the presence of invasive species that are blocking the drainage outlet that goes under his property. Those are the only two things I'm speaking to.
If you think we're exceeding our jurisdiction, I'd be comfortable saying, take out the debris that you dumped there.
Yeah.
And that would facilitate the drainage. And then maybe we could do the same thing and put a footnote in there. We encourage you to take that rose bush out, because if you don't, it's going to continue to erode the lawn.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
What's that? Yeah,
It makes sense to me.
We can do it that way, Hans, the same way we just did with Ann Grealish, and just take the debris out that you dumped in it to open up the channel. And then we would encourage you, without requiring you, to remove the multiflora rows to open up the channel, the original channel.
I think he would respond to that because he said, I would have taken it out by now, except I was worried about the town's permission. So I think he's waiting for permission.
Yeah, Tom, if you want to direct him on the best way to do that, if you want to advise him, I'm fine with that.
All right, good.
He was my client. Yeah, that's why I'm recused.
Any
not recusing yourself right now. Okay.
I'm having a lot to say.
But, you know.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions from commission members of the public about it? Okay, I'll
John,
make a motion. Yes, Steve.
You had asked me if I agreed with Tom, and yes, I do agree with Tom. We chatted as to the problem there, the existing problem, and we agreed what the existing problem is, and it's pretty obvious to both of us.
I'm not sure what part of what Tom said you agree with, or everything he said, or I don't know what you're talking about.
Pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. How's that?
I don't know what you're referring to, because he says he didn't think there was debris that had been dumped in there. I feel strongly that I saw debris that didn't belong in the stream channel.
I agree
Well,
with
that's
you.
that's a good reason to tell him not to put anything in there.
And I'm not sure if you're agreeing with me. Did you see debris that had been dumped there?
Yes.
Okay, so we just tell them, take it out. Then
Sure.
add a footnote and say, we don't require you to do this, but it would be appropriate, we believe it would be appropriate for you to remove the multiflora rows to open up the stream channel. And I make a motion on that basis that we issue the certificate of compliance for the, and this is another case where we issued the enforcement order, then we issued an order of conditions to fix it. So this would be a certificate of compliance that he's fixed it. He did plant the trees that we ordered, and he did pay the fine that he ordered. So we ask him if the certificate of compliance is conditional upon him removing the debris that he's placed in the stream channel, and then encourage him, without requiring him, to remove the multiflora rows that's also blocking the stream channel. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? Tom? No, you're not voting, sorry. Arthur, how do you vote?
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
I, John Kiernan, vote yes as well. And please put in the notes that Tom had recused himself from this one. Next on the agenda, we're getting close. Approve the minutes for the Milton Conservation meeting held on July 8th and July 19th. And I only had one revision. Now I've got to be able to find them. The only revision that I had for both of them was on July 8th, 2025. On 14C. That, and I think we've talked about this, the Milton Board of Health did not approve the taking of the beaver dam down. What they approved was the trapping of the beavers. Whether or
Thank
not
you.
the beaver dam is taken down is within our jurisdiction. And that has been confirmed by DEP. That the DPW will have to come to the Conservation Commission for permission to remove the beaver dam. The only thing the Board of Health did was to approve the trapping and removal of the beavers. And at the end of that paragraph, it says no water crossing Holland Street. I think that should be deleted because that night that we were meeting, Marina Fernandez appeared before the Board of Health and showed a video. I saw the video before I joined us, the Conservation Commission, and there was water all over the place on Holland Street, on both sides of the road, and completely inundating the road.
When you visited, there was no water crossing. That's what that was for, John. On the day you visited there. That's all. As I understood.
Well, yeah, there was no, when I was there was no water crossing, but
Exactly.
absolutely.
That's what I was reporting.
Okay, but it says no water crossing. Argument made that flooding on upstream side on Holland Street crossed and plunged to lower level. True. No water crossing Holland Street.
Fine,
I
I'll
think
remove
I
it.
think it should be removed.
I'd be happy to remove it, yes.
And then change the Milton Board of Health approved the trapping and removal of the beavers. Now,
Yes.
in fairness, I don't want to be just euphemistic here. We all know that trapping means they're euthanized. So when I say remove,
John, do you have did they say any beavers anywhere can be removed, or did they refer to specific beavers?
I don't, the beavers in the area of the dam.
Yeah, permits issued for a particular area.
Yeah.
Which dam and which area?
Usually within a, well, I'd have to look at what they submitted for their permit, but it's usually a particular waterway or section of waterway.
It was a section.
Yeah.
I was there, so I wasn't there
I'm
for
just
the vote.
curious. Yeah, there's more than one beaver dam. So what dam is it?
I'll tell you. It was the dam adjacent to the concrete put in by DCR, or maybe it was the MDC at the time, at the intersection of Unquity Road and Holland Street.
That's Brandy's Corner.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's not Franny's Corner. No, it absolutely is not. Go. It's back. It's where Holland Street meets Unquity Road. That's not Franny's Corner.
But it's true that Arthur is referring to a place where there is another dam. There's
That
another
may be
dam,
true,
right?
but that's not with this
That's not
permit.
what they got the permit for.
I
I
think,
just wanted to-
John,
Location. Thanks, John.
it's the dam between Harlan and Unquity. That's where the location is.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
okay, I know where that one is.
what I just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That dam is 80 feet long, and the
Yes.
part that's on the Unquity Road side starts at the bottom of the berm that
yes,
separates Unquity Road from the town, from the marsh. And it goes through that shrub swamp, but it doesn't get over to Harlan Street. It stops at a little upland island that's, if you're going from Unquity, you're going up Harlan toward Hillside, it's after the it's before the culvert where the guardrail is. There's a little upland on the right. That's where the other end of the dam is connected. So the little scour pool below the culvert, that's actually above the dam. So that's interesting to me that that is the dam that was of concern, because somewhere I had heard that it was the people at the golf course who were concerned about the flooding, and I thought that must be another dam because that's pretty far up the brook from this place. But, and I think Steve, you said there was another dam up by the golf course, but
Yes, it's further toward the, what is that development to the
Indian
right?
Cliff.
Pardon?
There's an Indian Cliffs area that
Indian
is,
Cliffs, yes, yes.
yeah.
It's further down Holland, just before you take the curve and you go to the right. There's a dam in there as well.
Does anybody know if any beavers have been trapped yet?
No, I think there's a season, Tom, that you have to have permission first, and it's October, November, I believe, when the permit allows them to do it. So it has not been.
Thank you. You know, yeah. There's a lot of feeling in town, and myself included, that if we can get some non-lethal ways to deal with these problems, that's better. And I would add to the group that has that feeling, the animal control agent is passionate about that, Nancy Bersani, plus a number of people on Hillside Street. So this to me is a story to be continued. I really, it's hard for me to anticipate where it's going. I think that we are all facing the fact that the beavers are going to make major changes to the wetlands in Milton along Pine Tree Brook. They've done it already. They'll keep doing it, and it's going to be something we have to deal with going forward.
No, agreed, and Marina Fernandez for DPW would also agree with what you said, and she actually did explore the non-lethal means, and that was I put her in touch with the folks that presented at the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions. One is Beaver Solutions, and the other one is, I don't know, one's a business and one's a consultant, and they were talking about the beaver deceiver, which is essentially a siphon pipe that goes up and over the dam and tricks the beaver because they can still hear water trickling, which apparently is something that inspires them. But she did meet with them, and they told her that it wouldn't work at that site. Now, I wasn't
I
there.
sent pictures. I sent pictures of those beaver excluders to the members. Do you remember those? I sent pictures of two of them that were placed at the same rich ponds in Quincy in the Blue Hills Reservation. And those were those choke points that are easy to install an excluder. And I did see a letter that Kevin Keating provided to me from some of these beaver experts from Florence, Mass, where they repeated their statement that there's certain dams where the beaver excluders are not appropriate, and this 80-foot dam was one of them. So my impression tracks with yours, John, that they looked into this excluder and it wasn't appropriate for that dam.
That's what Marina told me.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, I mean, we're a little off topic because that's the only revision that I wanted from that date. And I didn't have any other comments on the second date of the 19th of July. So my question is, does anybody else have any revisions?
Nothing here.
All right, so then we do have two votes to approve the first one would be July 8th, 2025, as revised in 14C. And I'd make the motion to approve those minutes as revised. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Thanks, Arthur. Any discussion? Tom, how do you vote? This is on July 8th.
I vote yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Wendy?
Yes.
Hans?
Yes.
Golly?
Yes.
And John Kiernan votes yes as well. Second motion to approve, as written, the minutes for July 19th, 2025. I make such a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I don't know who seconded that, Phil. I don't know what you're writing down. Oh, Steve.
I think it was Tom.
Yes.
Who seconded that?
Tom.
I did.
Tom did. Oh, thanks.
Thank
Any
you.
discussion? Hearing none. Tom, how do you vote?
Yes.
Arthur?
Yes.
Wendy?
I wasn't at that meeting, so I can't vote.
Abstain. Thank you. Hans?
Yes.
And Charlie?
Yes.
And I, John Kiernan, vote yes as well. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is discussion of new tree price continued from July 19th. The last time we had discussed this, we decided to go out and see if we could collect some information, and efforts were made by Charlie and Arthur and Wendy. And, I've talked to some people about this as well. And I guess the big ticket items are the MACC recommendations on tree policies, tree replacement policy. What we're really talking about is if we issue a sanction, well, it's not a sanction. If we issue an order that says that you shall replace, X number of trees, and we're talking about 2.5 to 3.5 inch caliber trees in that range. If there's not enough place on the project site, then can we exchange that for a financial equivalent? And our policy has been $500 per tree, and that was originally based on like a $350 cost and $150 installation, or putting it in the ground cost for $500. I can't tell you the number of years we've been at 500, but it's certainly in excess of 10. Of interest to me was the MACCs. They also used 500 as a recommended functional equivalent, financial equivalent of the tree. I think Wendy wants to point out that there's a difference between the cost of the tree and the putting it in the ground. But we've got.
Yes, and also, John, I think it's important to clarify that that's not what MACC recommends. That's what they referenced as an example of what one of the other towns has done. And we don't know when the last time that was updated.
Okay. And then we had from Charlie Bosworth some amounts of, in those ranged, so I don't misquote, I want to get Charlie's note. And Charlie, while I'm looking for it, you can probably tell us what you found.
I got three separate pricing. One was from Central Nursery, and they were $355 for a 3-inch caliper. One of the local nurseries around here for a 2.5 to 3-inch caliper was $425. And then Amherst Nursery, which I got that name from Branch Lane, and there's a follow-up email attached to what I sent. But Branch had mentioned that they were spending $200 to $230 on a 2-inch caliper tree, and that's where the town buys their trees from.
And Charlie, just to clarify, that does not include delivery and installation. Is that correct?
That's
just
for
for
the wholesale number from Central Nursery did not include delivery or installation. The local nursery, it did include delivery, but not installation. And Amherst Nursery, this number was from Branch. I didn't speak with the nursery myself. And he didn't mention if it was delivery to the town yard or not.
Okay. My personal experience buying retail is that the cost of the tree doubles if you want it to be installed, and then delivery is on top of that, and that's per mile and site considerations.
Okay, so what's your proposal? I mean, if the issue before us is, do we change the amount of money that we're imposing for a fine? What's your proposal, Wendy?
Well, just really quick, Wendy, one thing that I think we keep in mind is that, well, when we're talking about off-site trees, it's trees that are ultimately purchased by the town. They're purchased in bulk, so the town doesn't just purchase one tree at a time. They usually purchase a number that they store at the DPW yard. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I mean, we're really talking true wholesale pricing.
I think that, yeah, I guess I don't understand what your question is, Hans.
Well, I mean, you're mentioning retail cost of tree replacement, and that's not what we're dealing with. So yes, it is probably a better deal to mitigate off-site than it is to mitigate on-site, but you're also cutting a separate check for that. So I'm just trying to present both sides of the argument for modifying the price.
Mm-hmm. Well, but somebody's got to pay for the cost of delivery and installation. And if it's done in-house by the DPW, then that's eating into their staff and labor time and expense. So I feel like it's important that the price that we choose fairly reflects that. And plus we don't necessarily want to make it financially advantageous to contribute to this fund in lieu of replacing the trees on site. At least
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's not
my understanding.
not by much, but yeah.
Can I ask the question? When we require a applicant to plant a certain number of trees on his project due to impact or taking down other trees, and we issue them an order, they're absorbing that cost as part of their project. When we're asking them to donate a monetary amount to the town, they're essentially washing their hands of the installation. And I agree with Wendy that it's difficult to compare the two. But at what point do we? At what point are we being penal on the cost of the trees? Because if a homeowner is completing their project and we want them to plant 6 trees, but they can only fit 2 on their project, and we want them to donate 4 to the tree supply, should we be going after the full amount which it costs them to put it in their project? Or should we simply be going after them or asking them to contribute the amount that it costs to get a replacement tree to the town? Because the parks or whoever is using these trees or planting these trees, aren't all of our tax dollars already paying for their employment and their labor? So wouldn't it be, if we were coming up with a monetary value, wouldn't it be the cost to get the tree to the town yard?
Mm-hmm.
Because on the other hand, if they had to, in their project, if they had to replace 6 trees and it was such a really difficult spot to get to and it cost them $1,500 a tree, we're not going to give them a credit back on the delta between what we want to use for a number and what it actually costs them to do the work, right? That's kind of the converse argument. If somebody came to me and said, well, you know, this is your dollar amount that you have to contribute. If I was the neighbor and I had to plant the trees and the trees cost me $1,500 to put in, my argument would be, well, why don't I get the credit on the delta?
Which is the reason why I came up with the inch for inch replacement, that 1 inch tree lost, 1 inch tree replaced.
You mean the cost of the tree as opposed to the cost
Yeah,
of
so, you know,
planting?
it's that 3-to-1 ratio. So you're for every tree that you're taking out, it ends up a wash in terms of what's being lost versus what's going back in. So it eliminates that, you know, I'm only putting in a 2.5 caliber tree. Well, you still owe us, you know, 3.5 inches worth of tree.
But the goal was to come up with a number, because I tend to agree with Wendy that $500 doesn't seem like a lot of money for a 3-inch caliber tree replacement.
Yeah, I think it's not even close. I mean, frankly, I think it's a bargain because to your point, Charlie, somebody.
1 day of labor is $1,000. I mean, for a 2 to 3 man crew.
Well, it's also cheap insurance to just pay the town and wash your hands of it. Whereas we're holding people's feet to the fire to ensure that these trees survive, that they plant on site. And some people have to pay to do it all over again.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up during the discussion with Mr. Connolly, that this is because a lot of his argument was because he was mitigating such a large tree.
Yeah.
He gets to shift the responsibility of the survival of the tree to the town.
Yeah, and I don't feel comfortable having the town bear that responsibility without the proponent paying a fair compensation for that.
But the issue is, what is fair compensation? And that's why I asked you, I don't know what you're suggesting for an amount. My concern originally was, I understood you to be using the bid on the Beverly Park original. This is before we got to the point of Steve Conley taking his trees and putting them in Beverly Park. When the proposal first came in, there was a bid attached to it. It was $1,100 a tree. And I think that's too high to use as a standard for our policy. And this is a policy, it's not a regulation, it's a policy. And I am very sensitive to homeowners. And there is a difference between a developer who can eat the cost and pass the cost along. But I think our obligation is to the homeowners that are doing projects that seem to be in their best interest. It's their land. And we help them comply with the Wetlands Protection Act and the town bylaw. And they should be able, as long as they comply, they should be able to do what they wish with their land. I don't want to be punitive to the homeowners. And I think $1,100 would be, unsupported and punitive. And so I don't mind going up from $500 because I know, inflation and all that, and it's been in place for, 10 years or more. I'm sure it's more than 10 years. But I'm still waiting for an amount. I'd certainly support going up a little bit, but I absolutely would not go up to the $1,000 or $1,100. I find that to be punitive to the homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your proposal?
Are you asking me, John?
Yes. You're the proponent of this idea.
I think it should be $1,000. Easy.
Anybody, easy. Was it 1,000? Is that your proposal?
Pardon?
Do you want it to be more than that, or is that your proposal? $1,000 a tree?
That is my proposal.
All right.
Charlie, the places that you spoke to, was that the installed price that they gave you? I mean, what was the?
No, the first one at the 3-inch for 355 was a wholesale price.
For the tree only.
Correct. The 2.5 to 3-inch caliber from a local nursery at 425 is retail.
Yep.
In there's a lot of variables here, because if a homeowner has to replace one tree off the front corner of their house,
It's
the
gonna cost more.
landscape, yes, but the landscaper is not paying 425; they're paying 20% less.
Mhm.
So you've got to look at it from, they're not going to be charged with full 425 if they hire a landscaper to drop the tree in the front yard. They're going to be paying less, but they're going to be paying more in labor. And then the Amherst Nursery branch lands information on the 2-inch caliber trees at 200 to 230 seems like they sell in bulk to towns and municipalities to provide for these very issues where their tree replacement programs. My concern with $1,000, Wendy, to be honest with you, is that it seems very punitive for a homeowner in Milton that's paying exorbitant taxes, that we determine they have to replace 6 trees because of their addition that they're moving in their elderly mother to, and the result is an additional $6,000 to the project. To me, that seems punitive. We're not talking one tree. The one tree doesn't concern me. It's the projects that somebody has to expand their septic system to put an addition on, and move in a family member, and we're hitting them with a massive additional amount of money for them to complete their project. It's a developer is a different story. That's a conversation for a different time. But for homeowners, I just find it incredibly punitive to be at $1,000.
I feel like in cases where it does feel punitive, that we certainly have an open discussion, and we do take that into consideration. But I think that we need to have a starting point that's understood and transparent.
Agreed that we should have a solid base. I don't believe $1,000 is a starting point.
Mm-hmm. So I was basing that on the numbers that you provided, Charlie, with the wholesale numbers that did not include delivery or installation or maintenance. And so that's how I came up with $1,000.
Okay.
What would you
I would
suggest?
say if you came to me and
all 4 of those things.
if the commission came to me and said, all right, well, you have to replace this one tree in your side yard, or it's $1,000, I would go and buy the tree down the street for $355 and put it in on a Saturday afternoon, and then put a sprinkler on it. That would be my argument.
Mm-hmm. But that also requires a certain amount of ability and resources that not everybody has.
Understood, but most people can dig a hole with a shovel. It's the older people, or the single parent, or the infirmed that can't do that work, and they're the ones
Right.
that would be most impacted by it.
And get a tree of that size onto their property, and lift it up and put it in that hole that they dug, and then pay to water it for the next 3 years. I think that it's really important that we account for all of those expenses, not just the wholesale cost of the tree.
Agreed, but they're paying for the water. You know, they're not having somebody come in to water it. They're paying for the water already at a significantly high rate.
Not if they're paying us in the town to,
But
in lieu of putting it on their property.
Wendy, we are the town. And we're not out to make a buck out of the homeowner on this. I mean, they've got enough problems with the taxes. So what do you say about the argument that you're replacing the cost, not the installation, but the cost of the tree to the town? Because if they're, you know we've been approached by the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. You know we've been approached by Branch Lane, who's looking for DPW to fund, a huge expanse in the purchasing capacity of DPW. He wanted 117,000 per annum to purchase trees. So if the town goes out and buys them, they're buying in bulk and they're getting a pretty good price. And when the town buys them, the town's going to put them in. So that's all DPW. Yes, it's on their back, and yes, it's part of their personnel budget, but that's the way it's set up. So if we're asking the people to pay the town to replace the trees, the town is the repository. So if we can buy a tree for, I don't know, at Amherst at $200 to $230, why isn't that replacing the tree to the town? Because remember, if they can put it on their property as part of their landscaping plan, they're going to do that. And maybe it's going to cost more than that, but it sure is not going to cost $1,000.
So,
It's probably not going to cost $500.
John, could you explain to those of us who are relatively new to this commission, how did you all come up with the $500 10 plus years ago?
At the time, we looked at retail cost and it was $350. And that's what we thought it was. We said, it's gonna, we want you to put it in, and if we have to do it, we're gonna charge you what we'd have to charge. And that was $150. So the 500 came from 350 plus 150.
Okay, so that was the retail cost of a tree plus the cost of installation.
Yes.
So the retail cost of a tree today and the cost of installation today is likely quite a bit more than that.
The retail cost of the tree actually hasn't gone up all that much, depending on where you get it from. I just did a quick search, and there's a nursery I'm familiar with, Shrubs and Trees in Southborough, which is a fairly good sized nursery. Their retail prices are $375 for a 2.5 inch maple. So tree prices have actually held. They haven't apparently been smacked with inflation. Apparently when you turn it into lumber, completely different story. But, for a landscape tree, Charlie, I mean, the prices you're getting seem to reflect that as well.
Well, it's related to caliber, right?
Yeah.
Are we, what number are we using for a replacement tree? Does the commission think is appropriate? Is it 2.5, 3?
It's actually, to be honest, it's ranged between 2.5 and 3.5. But if
I think it's
the
been as
most we've
small as
used for
1.5.
cost is 3 inches.
Yeah.
So a 3-inch caliper red maple is going for $355 wholesale at this point.
Yeah.
And if you're buying it for the town's tree bank, you're not delivering one. They're gonna get them in bulk. Typically, John, is my experience.
Yes.
So I don't see it being much more than that.
I agree.
You were saying before that wholesale, Charlie, is typically 20% lower than retail. That was a number I heard you say.
Yeah, from if you're looking at a local nursery, Wendy, wholesale for a landscaper would be roughly 20% under retail.
Okay. So if we add 20% to that 3-inch caliper red maple, the numbers that Branch Lane provided. What's that? Anybody have a calculator handy? Be 70.
But that's branches trees
That-
are 200 to 230.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the first one from
20%,
Central Nursery.
$40.
I'm sorry, John.
Branches trees are 200 to 230.
Correct.
So add 20% of 200, that's $40.
Okay, so what the information from Central Nursery? That was not from Branch?
No. Central Nursery was a nursery that we've used in the past.
Okay. Well, the Branch was referring to a 2-inch caliper, and we don't know what species. So I would feel more comfortable using 3-inch as a rule of thumb.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, the pear is more expensive, but
So that's
I mean,
how you get to 425. You go from 355, add 20%, you get 425 approximately. That's not exact, but that's
okay. So 425, and then what, so you're saying before you used 150, John, as the calculation for installation?
yes.
Any idea what that would translate to $25?
No. No, I don't.
Charlie, any thoughts?
2 laborers, 3 hours. Unskilled.
So 6 hours total. It's another 150.
The cost of labor hasn't increased at all in 10 years?
I didn't come up with the first 150 number, so I'm only giving you the numbers that they're paying laborers now, unskilled.
Yeah.
Got it.
And actually 3 hours is probably being generous. I'd make them do it in 2.
You got it. We're struggling pretty hard on this, and I know you said that, you know, the MACC at 500 is just reflective of, you know, one town. I have no idea what it's reflective of, but that's the state association. I just don't think we're far out of it at 500, and what I was looking for from you is that I don't mind raising it, but I'm just nowhere near $1,000. I'd keep it at 500 if you just hadn't brought it up. But if you want to make it, you know, 600 or something, that great. But we're not a profit-making machine. We are the town, and we should not be looking to make money on the backs of the homeowners. And if we can do the cost of the tree to the town, and the town can buy it in bulk, and I won't even go with, you know, Branch's 2-inch caliper trees. You know, if we put it at 3-inch caliper from Central Nursery, and that's where the town can buy it from at that price, then why is it 500? Why isn't it 355? Because the DPW is going to put it in for the town. We're filling the coffers of the tree bank. And I know that's a terrible word because everybody thinks it means money, but it's actually trees. So if we're filling the bank with trees, why are we doing it on the back of the homeowners? We need trees.
Well, I've heard my perspective. I'm not going to beat a dead horse about this at 11 o'clock at night, but I would like to make a few follow-up calls to the information that MACC provided. My understanding, and Arthur, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but MACC just didn't make a statement that this is what we as MACC recommend. They made reference to another town and what they were charging, but we don't know when the last time was that was updated. That could be just as outdated as ours was. So I would just like to do some due diligence and make a couple of phone calls about that.
Yeah, I tried to contact them shortly after I got this information and sent it around. People were on vacation at that time, and I've not gotten back to them. I'd be happy to do so if you want. I'll do it with you, Wendy. Team up on it.
I'd love to team up with you, Arthur. Thank you.
Happy to.
All right, so why don't we defer this to next month, and in the meantime, you can gather additional information. Wendy, is that good?
Sounds great. Thanks, John.
Okay. New business, anything, Steve? Steve, you're on mute. What? We're talking about new business. Yeah, you're still on mute. There you go.
No.
Okay,
None
Arthur, new
whatsoever.
business, anybody, new business?
No.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Seconded? All in favor?
Yes.
Got it. All right, thanks, everybody.
Aye.
Appreciate it.
Thanks all.
Good night.
All right,
Good night, everyone.